Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, I call the very first case. Matthew Smith, Tagliata Elk Room LLC, trading as Tagliata, 1012 Fleet Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to expand premises to include 1010 Fleet Street, request for live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Before we begin, can I have just a moment of privilege? I just want to extend my congratulations to my colleagues, Commissioners Moore and Greenfield, on their reappointments to the board and being sworn in.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm here
Counsel.
instead of Anastasia Thomas Nardangeli, who just had a baby. She wanted me to inform everybody.
Looks like a boy.
And she told me not to screw this up, so I have to make sure I have everything taken care of. So with that in mind, I'd like to submit.
Before you do that, can I ask these gentlemen to raise their right hands and be sworn, please? Thanks.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
You want them to identify themselves?
When they speak, that's fine. Okay.
So I have 5 sets of exhibits for each one of you.
For each one.
And to let you know, those excuse me, those exhibits contain the current liquor license, which is without live entertainment and outdoor seating, which is 2 of the requests we have today. It's there's a June 26 email from Anastasia Nardangeli, which contains the layout of the current Fleet Street, and then the courtyard, and also the adjacent 1010 property, Fleet Street property, which one of the expansions is for, both of those, and then a lounge next to the 1010 property. And that's all contained in Exhibits 2 and 3. The courtyard design, so you can see how the seating works and what's planned for the courtyard for outdoor seating and also for live entertainment, which we're requesting, is also present on Exhibit 4. There's a Google Maps which shows you what the courtyard looks like from the air, and there's also 2 exhibits on 6 and 7. One back in 2008, which is permits outdoor table service in the courtyard, and the second one, which is June 23rd, 2017, which permits live entertainment from the zoning standpoint in the courtyard with certain restrictions. Those restrictions are contained in that particular recommendation from the zoning board. There's a letter of support from H&S Properties, which is Jason, and there's a last exhibit, number 9, is the manager's action, which is the authorizes Matthew Smith, who's up here with me today. He is now a member of the LLC, and he will be the authorized person on the liquor board, for the liquor board standpoint. David Smith, if you look at the petition, is also resigning. He still has a 49.5% ownership interest, but he is no longer an authorized person. He doesn't have any management responsibilities. Alex Smith, who is standing on my right, your left, has bought in 49.5% interest and is taking over operational control. He's the one who has made the designs, the change in the name, the change in the menus. The 2 restaurants that were there kind of separately before, 1010 and also Fleet Street Kitchen, were not doing well. As you know, they were petitioned for an extension here. They closed down. And Mr. Smith brought in Alex, who has good experience in the restaurant business, to redesign those restaurants and to expand them. When he did that, you'll see there are various amendments to the original petition. One of them is just because we got caught in a timeline when you changed the form of the petition. But the others are for the resignation of David, for the elevation of Matthew in, who bought his interest for $10,000. He has a 1% interest in the entity. And for Alex, showing Alex buying in. So we have David's resignation, which is before you, Alex's ascension, and Matthew's ascension in the business. So now what we're asking for is for all these extensions. I think the key is, and extensions of space, all one restaurant, it's all going to be one a kitchen serving these restaurants. There's going to be some live entertainment requests. The live entertainment is somewhat benign, however. There's a piano that's going to be in the old Fleet Street, now the Tagliata place. There's going to be a jazz ensemble, maybe 2 or 3 pieces, that will be periodically playing, and they'll be playing in accordance with what the zoning is. No amplification of any of the music, by the way. Those will be inside. On Sundays, there may be for brunch and for, and Alex can address this further, but I think up until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there could be some soft DJ music for people that want to eat outside at brunch time, because we're going to have live entertainment there. We'll just do a DJ at that particular point. That's pretty much what's before you. If there are any questions, we can kind of address them.
Before we begin, Mr. Matthew Smith, your name popped up on my conflict sheet. Have you ever been represented by Whiteford Taylor Preston?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, do you have any objection to me presiding over this proceeding this morning?
No.
Okay, thank you. And so, just so, I think we're all familiar with the old Fleet Street kitchen that faced on Fleet Street, and the lounge behind it. Was that also being operated in the past?
No. The lounge, which shows a
The lounge was, sorry.
well, it wasn't being operated by 1010.
No, I understand,
And it
but-
wasn't being operated by Fleet Street.
Right.
There was a restaurant there at one point. That closed.
Called Oliver Speck,
Uh,
and then before that it was Vino Rosina. There's
Okay.
been 2 restaurants previously that were in there that both closed.
Okay,
So
and how
it-
long has it been closed?
Oh,
3
Coup-
years.
Couple of
yeah,
years?
3-4
okay.
years.
Okay, and so, and where, in the courtyard, is it between the
Between the 2 restaurants, sir.
okay,
So as you face Fleet Street, if you were going, and that's all been facaded, the courtyard is being redone, there's canopies being put there and tables and heating lamps and so forth. And there's be gates put there. So, and also I've neglected to say that Alex has also hired security guards. So they'll be present whenever there's an outdoor service or outside service going on, whether it be a Sunday brunch, whether it be in the evening, whatever it is, he'll have his own security guards there, some retired or
The courtyard's essentially private from the public because it's a private courtyard owned by the Bagby Building. So
Right.
we control that with a gate. It's a controlled private space that's just for the restaurants.
and they'll have somebody at the gate for ingress and egress purposes. And they've leased that. So now they have a formal lease from the landlord. If you look on there, you'll see that's been submitted with the landlord's consent for all of the particular spaces we're talking about. And all of them will be run out of Fleet Street, or the old Fleet Street, now Tagliata.
and the zoning resolutions which grant the outdoor service and the live entertainment impose some restrictions that they understand they're bound by.
Yes, they understand they're bound by those, and that hearing has already taken place, as you can see. And we did tell zoning, as we're telling you, there will be no, this board here, there will be no amplification of any music. The music will be between certain time frames. Most of the music will be inside anyway, except isolated hours out in the courtyard, and then it still won't be amplified, and it'll still be soft music. It's more a piano, it's more of a jazz ensemble type thing. So it should not have any effect on the community at all, except a positive effect, we hope.
And is it open, or when will it open?
The end of this month?
That's the goal.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
Let me defer to Commissioner Greenfield, please.
I really don't have any questions. Only comment is thank you for your investment in this. And then I note, I guess a question, I note that, and there's some confusion in my mind, but the inspector report suggests that there's alcohol awareness certificates that are needed within a certain period of time. I assume that will be done when you open?
Before.
Before. So the report, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, before I'm certified alcohol awareness, so I'm not sure who they talked to or who was previously operating it. It may have expired, but
Yeah, that's good.
I'm pretty sure I'm current, so I'm positive I'm current. Maybe I didn't provide the right information.
Well, it may not be, so the Fleet Street itself, the premises that was inspected, so maybe this is
That's
before,
previous, yeah.
but you currently.
Yes, sir.
And if you could, just for the record, let us know your experience, because it's important to this.
Sure.
Your experience in the restaurant industry here.
Yeah, sure. So the last 5 years, I've operated Uzo Bay, Azumi, Lock Bar, Harbor East Deli and Pizzeria, and a Haagen-Dazs ice cream franchise in Harbor East. And then with these 2, we'll have, I think, 7 properties in Baltimore. And and we've got about 400 local employees. So
And in terms of violations, issues?
never had a violation, never had an issue.
Great, thank you.
And what is your background, sir?
My name is Matthew Smith. I work for Morgan Stanley in Fells Point. I live at 308 South Exeter, just down the street from the new restaurants.
Okay.
He's been a resident for 2 years in Baltimore City, votes in Baltimore City.
So are you Matthew?
Yes.
And you're the 1% owner?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the plan for the day-to-day operations? Who's going to be there? Who's going to be, because the 1% is hugely outweighed by the 49.5%.
Yes. I'll imagine that the labor will be as well. They'll be there most of the time. I have a full-time job.
They'll be doing
Monday
all
to
the
Friday.
work, they get all the.
No, they'll be doing most of the work, I would imagine.
All right, so but in your head, what do you envision?
Well,
How will your day-to-day be?
my day-to-day probably won't change too much. Maybe on the weekends if Alex needs any assistance with anything. I live right down the street. I'll be able to do anything that he might need. But we haven't been planning for anything like that.
Will you still be working at Morgan Stanley?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
so you are here mostly to meet the Baltimore City residency requirement, is that fair to say?
That's part of it, yeah.
All right, and then you're Alex?
Yes.
All right, and you mentioned that you've got maybe a total of 7 properties. How do you envision your relationship with Tagliatelle?
I'll be spending
Tagliata?
between 30 and 40 hours a week there. I live in the neighborhood, so I hit all of the restaurants every night, either lunch or dinner. So
How often do you go to Haagen-Dazs? Because that's really the one that's important.
yeah, I'm there. I actually live right above it, so I'm there every day. But I'm at all the properties every day.
Are
Okay.
you all related?
We're cousins.
Oh, okay.
And Mr. Smith, David Smith, happens to be the father of Matthew and the uncle of Alex.
Okay.
And it was his concept with the Bagby building at first, but he didn't have enough restaurant.
right operation.
He didn't have the right operations. Alex has a management company that comes in and has some experience in that regard. And so we thought it was a pretty good marriage. And to let you know about spending money, which I think is important, David Smith probably had more than $2 million. I won't tell you how much in the leasehold improvements in Fleet Street, some of which have been used, and they've put in also another $1 million between the two of them and $10,000 with Matthew into the new operations and the new design. So it's a substantial investment. I think they have significant restaurant experience and been very successful, and we're hopeful this will be another success for them.
Okay. Alex, you're not going to be on the license, is that correct?
That's correct.
You are not. And just conceptually, 1010 Fleet Street and 1012, do they share a wall, or are they separated by the little breezeway?
So 1010 and 1012 share the courtyard, but there's also a shared atrium and inside interior shared. So it's if you can actually, you go from the Fleet Street kitchen or the Tagliata kitchen, inside, interior-wise, go to a storage area and an atrium, and then through the 1010 area, and so they're connected inside.
So in terms of the expansion, is it fair to say you do not envision any construction to make that happen?
So
Or will there be?
So we're already finished as far as what we've done construction-wise, but it hasn't been hard construction. It's been mostly redoing the interior and FF&E to make the restaurants look and feel different, but obviously the structures are already there.
What will be the difference between the restaurants, or will they be unified?
No, there's a difference between the restaurants. It's 2 separate concepts. So one is an Italian, like more fine dining option. One is like a speakeasy jazz concept. So there's 2 different concepts operating in the same shared space
With the same kitchen.
with the same
So
kitchen.
shared
Yeah.
kitchen,
Yeah.
okay.
It's one complete operation, but if you want more of traditional American cuisine, you would go to the old 1010.
Essentially, we're sharing a loading dock, we're sharing a kitchen, but from the customer standpoint, they're going to be able to go left or right and have 2 complete different experiences.
If they so wish.
Yeah.
If they wish, or they can have both.
They can, that's
And then they
right.
can
Go
go
from
get
one to
ice
the other.
cream.
Right,
Or they can have ice cream.
that's it.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioners, do you have any further questions? I want to note for the record that our city council president is here in support of this application. Did you have anything that you wanted to say, sir?
Council President Bernard Jack Young, I can truthfully say that I visit a lot of establishments that's owned by Mr. Smith. He runs a classy operation, both at Uzo Bay, Azumi, and at the deli. And I've never seen any problems there. I've never seen any violations there, and I'm there almost on a regular when I don't have meetings because I like to eat Greek salad with no onions, and that's where I go. And they're responsible owners. Alex lived in the city of Baltimore. His cousin recently moved here 2 years ago, and they're just great people. And I think they'll have a great operation there.
Well, thank you.
I have eaten at 1010 before too.
Well, I hope you'll continue to go there.
Thank you.
And we
So do we.
appreciate we appreciate your remarks. So, on the Jane, do you have anything further, counsel?
Only one thing to tell Commissioner Moore, that you can get ice cream other places in Haagen-Dazs, but only at his places down there.
That's it.
All right, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that have been received this morning at the hearing, the proffers of counsel and testimony before the board, I would vote to approve the expansion to include 1010 Fleet Street and the request for live entertainment and outdoor table service.
On behalf of Anastasia Thomas Nardangeli, we thank you.
Please congratulate her for us. Commissioners?
So I concur. I think that hopefully you will uphold the very good standards, high standards and good traditions that you've established through your other operations.
Of course.
It sounds like you will. And add my congratulations to the new little boy. I support the application.
Thank you.
And I too concur. Thanks again for the investment.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And congratulations on the baby. Best of luck.
Good luck. I want to try your Italian food one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I guess she's got 3 new sons.
Yes, I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Business Plan Package. Thank you.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith?
Here you go. Thank you.
It's a little matter of money.
No, it's no check. It's paid in the application. Thank you.
Okay, best of luck.
Dolores Span and Young Yi Yan, New Cho Enterprise, Inc., trading as Kim's Liquor and Grocery, 200 North Monastery Avenue. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 3.09B, as in boy, restroom facilities and health regulations on March the 20th, 2017. Violation of Rule 3.08B, as in boy, sanitation and safety on March the 20th, 2017. Please come forward and raise your right hands.
Counsel?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Jay Yu, representing the applicant for the New Choho Inc.
Would you ask your clients to raise their right hands, please?
Raise your right
Span
hands,
and
please.
Mrs. Yum, could you raise your right hand?
All parties.
Anyone wishing to testify?
Everyone raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, you may lower your hands. Mister, has Kim's Liquor ever been represented by White for Taylor Preston?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have any objection to me participating in the case?
No.
Okay. And so there's 2 violations charged, both on March 20 of this year. Will this be an admission or a contested
Yes,
case?
we'll be proceeding by way of admission.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what was going on?
Yes, basically, Mr. Stroh Snyder is an employee there, and he works there. And Mrs. Yum, who's the daughter of Mrs. Yum, daughter-in-law, also managed the place. Apparently, about 3 years ago, Mr. Yum passed away, and apparently, due to that, the wife has been trying to keep the business going with an employee, and with Mrs. Yum being very old and not being able to manage the place by herself without her son. So, obviously, I guess this happened as the years passed with the absence of Mr. Yum, and Mr. Snyder apparently neglected to keep up the place, and we are admitting to all the violations and all the corrections have made.
Can I ask you, has the health department or the fire department been back since then?
Yes.
Have they approved it
Yes.
since then?
Yes. I believe I do have some documentations.
Well, I think we have a representative here, so do you want to come forward? And identify yourself, please.
I'm Cassandra Carey with the Baltimore City Health Department.
Okay, and you want to tell us what's going on currently at this place? If you would step up to the mic too, we have to record this.
The facility was closed on March the 20th for numerous violations, and in order for them to reopen again, they had to come into our office and satisfy all the violations that we had noted in the report, and that they did. And I haven't been called back.
When were they reopened, do you know?
They were reopened on the 24th?
Yes.
March 24th?
Yes.
Okay. So 4 days later. And do you know if the fire department was, yeah, okay. What can you tell us, sir? And what is your name, please?
Inspector McCullough, Fire Marshal's Office.
Eugene McCullough?
Yes, Eugene McCullough.
He knows your name, but you don't? Okay.
Kim's Liquor, they called and asked to actually do one more visit, one more follow-up to make sure that everything is completed to my satisfaction for the 5 violations that were noted. None of the violations I noted would prohibit them from keeping the store open at that time.
So they were not significant, or they weren't?
Right, they weren't significant enough to prevent them from operating.
Okay. But you're satisfied at the present time?
Yes.
Okay. Inspector, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Because, I made the re-inspection and they passed, so.
Okay. Counsel, anything further?
Yes, sir. So basically, my client did contact or retain a contractor and this improvement to the establishment at a cost of $4,500, and they recontract with pest control people to make sure that there's no rodents or roaches.
There's no date on this. Do you know when this was? Okay, this one's from May.
23rd, Your Honor.
Okay.
And this is a copy of the Health Department inspection, which indicates that all the violations have been corrected. And also, in light of the violations, Mrs. Yum has asked me to prepare a checklist for the employee to maintain at the business and check. Some of the items needs to be checked every day, and some of the items needs to be checked every week to make sure that this doesn't happen again. This is the procedure they came up with. So Mr. Stroh-Snyder will each and every day go through this after work and make sure that everything is proper. And also, pursuant to the fire inspector's recommendation, we prepared a instant log, which Mr. Stroh-Snyder will also keep at the store and make sure that he calls 911 and logs everything and what happened, what actions were taken. So we'll keep these logs at the store to make sure that it's done
Do you
properly.
want to offer these as exhibits?
Yes.
That all
And
be
Mrs.
received?
Yum will make sure that Mr. Stroh-Snyder does what he should be doing.
Okay. Yes.
Just to add, the reason for we initiated a special investigation at this location was due to high crime that had elevated on that corner and 2 shootings within 45 days. So we received the information from that police district, and that's why we initiated. And I just wanted, for the record, just wanted to note that we did tell them that the 911 log is going to be essential in their operation, just because he did voice to me that he felt in danger, the employee, that he felt in danger for retaliation. So we said, don't confront anybody, just keep a log and keep dialing 911 when they're loitering right up front.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector. Anything further?
No, Your Honor, basically, the business has been closed for 4 days, and they obviously suffered some financial loss, and they learned their lesson, and we're asking that the commissioners take leniency on this matter.
Okay. On the basis of the evidence presented at the hearing this morning, as well as that contained in the record, and the exhibits presented and the admissions, I would find on March 20, 2017, a violation of Rule 3.09B and a violation of Rule 3.08B. And I would take notice of the corrective action that was promptly taken by the licensees by the fact that within 4 days, the health department allowed them to reopen, that the fire department was satisfied as well, and that they seem to have taken other steps to try to ensure that this doesn't reoccur. The last violations were 7 years ago. So with respect to the 3.09 violation, I would impose a fine of $150. And with respect to the 3.08 violation, another $150, and I'd give them 30 days to pay.
I concur.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
So it's a total of $425, the administrative fee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
300 plus 125, okay.
Mr. Yu?
Mr. Yu?
Yeah, I have exhibits. Board Exhibit 1, Inspector John Christomalis Investigation Report. Board Exhibit 2, Compliance Report, Inspector John Christomalis. Board Exhibit 3, Baltimore City Health Department Report, Inspector Cassandra Curry. Board Exhibit 4, Baltimore City Fire Department Report, Fire Marshal Eugene McCullough. Licensee Exhibit 1, Contractor Invoice. Licensee Exhibit 2, Pest Control Contract. Exhibit 3, Baltimore City Health Department Inspector Report dated March 24, 2017. Licensee Exhibit 4, Health Code Checklist. And Licensee Exhibit 5, Incident Log. Thank you.
Jamie Baluna Bravo and Alejo Martinez, El Oasis Restaurant y Discotheque, Inc., trading as El Oasis Restaurant y Discotheque, 3919-21 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on March the 25th, 2017. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on March the 25th, 2017. Please come forward and raise your right hands.
There's no one coming forward.
I'll check outside real quick.
Please, thank you, Mr. Foster. Okay, well, let's proceed. Can you gentlemen raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So do that.
Okay. Inspector or detective, who wants to testify?
Proof of service, summons.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Detective Gatto.
Still
Abraham
morning, but
Gatto.
good morning.
It is morning, you're right. Taking more on the 1 p.m. docket. Baltimore City PD Vice Unit on 3/25/2017 at 0040 hours, which is very early in the morning. Agent Chris Mouse and I responded to 3919 Eastern Avenue in reference to a complaint for loud music. It's a location that we've been back to several times for this same complaint. In previous times, we've asked them to keep their door closed to the front of the building because it helps keep the noise down, keeps the complaints down. We entered the location. We found a night manager who was capable of speaking English at the time. Asked them to turn the music down. It took several requests to have this done. I will say that when you go into this location, and I've been into it, I'd say at least 5 to 6 times, the music is so loud that your internal organs shake. That's how loud it is. I mean, it's literally your intestines and things are moving. So I understand.
You don't have enough cover on yours.
It's in there. Believe me, it was shaking. But these guys, I'm sure, can attest to the same thing. It's very loud. And even if it's a band that's playing, the amount of music that's put out is very strong. Because this was an occurrence over and over again, and we warned them previous times, this report was generated and forwarded to the liquor board. And I don't believe, they did turn the music down, but the doors remain open. So, nothing more to testify to.
Okay, for the record, we have a notice that was provided to them of the hearing, and it was served upon them on 24th of June of this year. These licensees have a bad record. They were here last year, same offenses. They were here in 2011, 2006, 2005, on more than one occasion. And they haven't deemed it appropriate to appear for this violation today. I would ask the commissioners if they want to suspend this license until they appear.
Chairman, Mark Foster, Chief Inspector, they failed to appear for the last violation too. So,
Well, I'd be inclined to suspend their license until we can get them in front of us.
I concur. It appears that they were here June 30, 2016, or there was a hearing, they didn't appear. We imposed a 30-day suspension. We got a motion for reconsideration on July 12, almost a year to the day, July 12, 2016, asking us to reconsider, which we then did do. We granted that motion, and we reduced the suspension from 30 days to 15 days, and we've reduced our total fine from $3,125 to $1,125. I mean, we certainly gave them some leniency a year ago, but here we are again. So I would support, I am in support of the thinking of suspending this license.
Yeah, I agree as well. I would concur to suspend the license, and I would even suggest whether we can revoke the live entertainment component of this license. And I don't know if we can do that in this proceeding, or if that's something, if they come back before us. But
Well, they're not going to be doing anything.
Right.
So let's get them in front of us, okay?
And I would also impose a fine. It shows that they did pay the fine. It looks like it took them 6 months to pay that fine, but they did pay the $1,125, which suggests, again, that's a lot of leniency. We typically only give 30 days, and they got 6 months. So
Mr. Chairman, I would support a fine as well. with the
Okay, I
suspension.
mean, my thought was that we would probably hear from them after we suspended their license.
That's
and
fine.
we would get them in front of us, and then we could impose all that. But if you both want to do that now.
I think that's the way to do it, is do it in one move and not a separate hearing.
So you want to do it now?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so what are you suggesting for a fine?
I would, for a fine, $2,000.
As to each of these violations?
No, I would do 1,500 for each violation, 1,500 for a total of 3,000.
Are you in agreement, Commissioner Greenfield?
Yes.
Okay, I will agree as well. So that's, and the license is indefinitely suspended. And that 30 days to pay them fine.
Can we do
Guilty
that?
as to both violations, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, guilty as to each violation.
Yes.
We can indefinitely, okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
And
Mr. Foster, yes, you can, oh, yes, I concur with my colleagues, and Mr. Foster, you
Yes.
can pull that license.
You can pull the license, yes.
immediately.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Gatto. Thank you.
Could we make the notice of service Exhibit 3?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to hold on to that.
Back on the record. Board Exhibit 3, summons dated June 24th. Thank you.
1 second. Catch up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bryson. Kasim Ahmed and Suad Ahmed, Sunlight Lounge, Inc., creating as Sunlight Lounge, 1713-15 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.05A as an apple, prohibited hours on April the 1st, 2017, and violation of Rule 4.05B, prohibited hours, on April the 1st, 2017. Please come forward.
Gentlemen, can you raise your right hands, please, and over here as well?
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Are you Mr. Ahmed, sir? Can you speak into this microphone, please?
My name Qasim Ahmed.
Okay. Mr. Ahmed, your license is charged with violation of these rules for remaining open past the 1 o'clock hour on April 1, 2017. Do you agree with that, or do you want to contest that matter? You do not agree.
Oh, sir, it's almost, I try to take people out, and it's almost, 1 o'clock. It's not, maybe I got a couple of minutes to 1 o'clock. It's not over 1 o'clock.
So you're saying that everyone was out of the facility by 1 o'clock? Did you, well, let me hear from the inspector, okay?
Agent Gerson Malice, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On or about 3/25/2017 at approximately 1:30 a.m., I, Agent Gerson Malice, while on duty working with Detective Gatto from the Baltimore City Vice Unit, were observing 1713 Eastern Avenue in the city of Baltimore in the state of Maryland. We were there because we received information from a citizen that this establishment stays open after 1 a.m. During our observations, we saw a female knock on the door. After a few seconds, another female opened the door and let her in. At that time, we left the location and set up the follow-up investigation in the following week. On 4/1/2017 at approximately 1:01 a.m., we observed several people inside the location. At that time, we decided to make entry. Once inside the location, we observed a group of males with a bucket of Coronas and approximately 6 additional people seated at the bar. The manager told us that 3 of the females were employees, however, could not provide any employee records. Manager stated that he was new, and due to the fact that he was cooperative with our investigation, we issued him a warning for the employee records and a violation for the after hours. We exited the establishment without any further incident.
Were either of these gentlemen there?
I think I recognize this gentleman. The person that told us that he bought the bar is neither one of them. So I don't, he said, I just bought the place, and it was a younger Hispanic male who is not here.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the inspector? Okay. Did you have anything to add?
I just add that I believe this gentleman was there, if my memory serves me, that when we entered and Agent Chris Mels spoke about gentlemen seated with a bucket of Coronas. There was an individual, an employee, which I believed he was an employee at the time, collecting when at sight of us, tried to get the beers and throwing them, and I ordered, no, put them down, put them back where they were. They complied. But there was definitely no, as he testified, there was no closure at 1 a.m. This was a operating, I mean, there was a fresh bucket put down on this table.
It was but empty. Was empty can. Empty
That
bar.
is incorrect. That's
It was
incorrect.
empty when it's on the table, and
And councilors, if it was empty, then what is the need to try to rush empty beer bottles?
we
and throw
tried
them away?
clean up, but I know it was empty.
Mr. Ahmed,
I know about the law. I've been working about 29 years in this bar and other bar 13 years. I know about the
I understand that, and as a matter of fact, I note that you've never had a violation at this place
Thank
before,
God.
so we recognize
I
that.
work with the law,
But, just for clarification, when you have to close at 1, even if someone comes in and wants a drink at 1 minute of 1, you've got to take it back at 1 o'clock, and everything has to be cleared. And this is only a 1 minute later violation, I know, but it looks like it wasn't gonna stop then.
1 minute.
I understand, but technically it is a violation, so I don't know if the commissioners have questions.
I do. Are you Kasim?
That's me.
And sir, to your right, Suad?
My son.
That
My
is your-
son. It's my son. Qasim.
Oh, so you're also Kasim?
It's my son.
Do you still own the property? Do you still own
Yes,
the bar?
yes.
You've not sold it to someone?
no,
So whoever
it's
said that
still
they just bought it, that was not accurate at that time, correct?
Yes.
All right. So we heard testimony about what happened in March, but we're not able to consider that because you weren't charged with any violation in March of 2017. So I just want to focus on April. You were there at the bar, is that correct?
I was outside because I got a taxi. I'm working with taxi, but when it happened, the guy helping me, he called me. I come in. I was in the corner. I come in right away because I'm care about my business, only this kind of business.
So that helps me a little bit. You also drive a taxi,
Yes.
correct? And so at the time that our inspectors came in, you were out driving the taxi.
I was in the corner. I was
You were in the
one
corner.
block down.
So then you get a call, there's a problem, you need to come in.
Right.
So then you come back,
Right away.
correct? Right away. So they've already come in, they've observed what they observed. The testimony was that someone was trying to clear the bucket of beer, but you were not there at the time that all was happening. You, correct?
No.
You came in after all the clearance had
The guy
occurred.
told me it was empty bottle. That's what
Oh,
he told me.
that's what they told you.
That's what he
but
told me. The
you
guy
didn't
helped me out.
Okay, you were not able to see that firsthand.
Well, I come there, everything clean, and the police was there, and
Okay. And how long have you owned Sunlight Lounge?
since 1989.
Since 1989. Okay. And in that time, you've not had any violations?
So far, you know
So
more than I
far.
do. You know more than I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Ask this guy right there. Ask him. He knows me since I opened up.
Okay.
1989.
All right.
Very nice guy.
So once you got there, did you cooperate with the inspectors and the
Oh,
police
yeah.
officers?
Ask him.
I'm asking you.
I don't have no problem with nobody.
Okay. All right.
I like to work with everybody in a nice way.
Certainly, certainly. Okay, those are the questions that I have.
Mr. Page, I have a question. I don't understand the difference between 405A and 405B. Looks like they're based on the exact same facts. Is there a difference?
One is whether or not they were consuming, and the other was that they were just open.
Oh, okay. Did you actually see someone drinking? Pardon? Did you see them drinking? Okay.
Open and operate and consume.
All right. Is there anything further you want to say, Mr. Ahmed?
Thank you.
Just leniency on the one-on-one aspect is all I'm saying.
I understand. So on the basis of the evidence that we've heard here this morning, as well as the materials contained in the exhibit, I would find a violation of Rule 4.05A and 4.05B, both on April 1, 2017. I take into account the fact that you've been operating there since 1989 without a violation, and that you were cooperative on this occasion, and that you got caught a minute after. But it does sound like there were people reporting that you've been open after one more often than this. So as a warning to you, you need to be very careful about that. But I will be lenient with you, and I would impose a $100 fine as to each of the violations and give you 30 days.
Okay. I agree. I think this happened very quickly, but that tells you that there are eyes on your operation. And when there are eyes on your operation and you combine that with someone who feels maybe you're not doing things right or the way that they would think is consistent with the law, anybody can call. And so going forward, you had to be and you help him, and all of your staff have to be very, very careful to not let this happen again. And I guess, the chances of you catching me drinking somewhere late at night into the morning are slim to none, but I do recall that there was this thing called last call. And you've got to figure out when last call is for your operation, and
So
when
you
you
can clean
start,
up by one.
you pick up the glasses and you tell people you're done. So all of that, I concur with the chairman's recommendation, finding of the violations and the imposition of a $200 fine.
I concur as well with both findings of the violations and the impositions of the fine.
Good luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I ask you one question. Is a lot of call right now, the police come on, they said, did you have fight? I said, we didn't have no fight, but there's a lot of people call, they fight up there, they open after 1 o'clock. I got so many calls, I got to let you know.
I'm sure there are, but we've never had you violated for it, so I guess they've never found
I think the
any
police
truth.
come twice up there to my place. They ask the guy work there, do you have fight up there? He said, no, we have 2 customers. How we go fight? His business is very slow.
Mr. Ahmed, may I suggest, one thing is to maybe do some outreach to the community a little bit, meet with some of the community.
No, one guy,
Let me finish. With the community association, and also, with respect to our agency, please make sure you're communicating with the appropriate inspectors so they know. But I just want to underscore, it sounds like this is a bigger issue potentially, as the chairman said, with people. Go ahead, sir.
There's only one guy, he used to work for me.
Okay.
And that's what he's jealous. That's all. It's one guy. He work up the street in Broadway and Lombard Street. That's all. That's what I know. He'd call the police. Besides that, I've been through with the court. I got my neighbor. I don't have no problem with the neighbor. No complaint, nothing at all.
Okay. Well, good luck. Thank you.
One question. Can I get a Sunday license? Because I got only 6 days.
Mr. Ahmed, if you can step this way, please. Administration, go ahead. These are the commissioners. They
Yes, I
don't
have
answer
exhibits
those
for the record.
questions. You
Board
need to
Exhibit
see
1,
us.
investigation report, Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Thank you.
Might I ask that you, at some point, speak to the chief inspector about those things? Right. Mark, could you see me?
He thought he was
Thank
gonna
you.
get-
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you.
It's all right.
That was the right thing to do. Why not? It's convenient. You're right. Economy of time. Seems like a very nice
Thank you,
man.
Bryson. Jose Morales, Arizona Bar and Grill, Inc., trading as Arizona Bar and Grill Restaurant, 25 South Broadway Street. This is a Class D, Tier 1 liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.05A, prohibited hours on March the 25th, 2017, and violation of Rule 4.05B, prohibited hours on March the 25th, 2017. Last violation of Rule 3.03C, records on March the 25th, 2017. Please come forward and raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the licensee. For all practical purposes, we'll make it an admission, although I sort of agree that 405A and 405B are technically the same, included one within the other. As far as the employee records, we would agree that there were only employee records for 4 of the 13 people as they indicated in your report. The rest we'd have in mitigation.
Okay. So you're making a legal argument as to the first?
The first 2, I think, are accumulating the same elements. If you have one or the other, they're the same between 405A and 405B, or vice versa.
Okay. So you want to tell us what mitigation you have?
Well, in mitigation I'll have is that, Mr. Morales has owned this place since 2000. He's 65 years old. He's trying to, figure out what he wants to do. But both of them, when you have prohibitive hours, that's what you're reading right there?
Correct.
Okay. And the people that were in there, he has employee records. Let me see your records. For the 4 people that they said they found records of. So he has those, and
Were
the
they
other
able to,
other
were they
ones
able
were
to
not.
show them that night?
Yeah, it says it in there, in the report. It says they show them records for 4 employees. So those were there. The other people were not their employees. The manager, quite frankly, overreached in the situation, and he's been disciplined. He's been given a 5-day suspension. Mr. Morales is now going to spend more time when the place closes, which he hadn't been. He's going to be there. Last call will be at 1:20. He will make sure that everything is off the bar and all the liquor will be put away, and only 1 or 2 essential people will be there to clean up. I think he relied too much on his manager, Mr. Smith, and it's a tough area down there because people come in and they order and they think they can sit around and they think they're in a 7-day BD7, they're not. They're in a 6-day. 6-day says 1 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, they're supposed to be out of there. And he's going to spend more time there. He's going to be able to go ahead and make sure that he's on the premises and everybody's out of there. Last call at 20 of 1.
How many employees does he have?
He has a 4.
Four.
We have here
Only
the 4 that
4?
are mentioned in the report.
That's all?
Mhm.
So the manager, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just. 'cause-
Go ahead, please.
So the manager wasn't speaking accurately that the 13 people, is that fair to say?
He was trying to cover himself. I mean, it's like doing the old rope-a-dope thing there. He was caught with, and he was trying to cover himself, and he knew he was going to get himself in trouble with Mr. Morales. And you've seen a lot of the places that we call them, that there's people that they have the young ladies that come in, they sit around, they talk. They're not employees. These people that he had the 4, they're his employees, they're not.
No, I understand, Mr. Kudinski, but what we have here is the fact that there were 13, he informed the agent and the detective that there were 13 employees, and so, based on that information, they asked for employee records and only
4.
4, so.
That's what we're saying. There were 4, he didn't have, the others were not employees, and it was not the truth.
Okay. Did you have anything to add?
On 3/25/2017, Agent Chris Amalis and I entered the location. We found 4 patrons with consuming alcohol when we arrived at 1:05. We were told that there were these ladies who were in here, in the location. There were 13 people. There was also a male, and there were 3 security guards. We were told that they were employees. I have been in this location probably 20 times. There is always an abundance of female working employees who sit with the gentlemen when they come in. They receive tokens for the drinks that they get the gentlemen to buy, or buy for them. These ladies were waiting to be paid. This is a common occurrence in this bar. It's a common occurrence in many Hispanic bars in Southeast Baltimore. The employee records that are here are not the ones that were presented to us at the time, because it was loaded with pictures of various females, which shows that there's always a rotating door of these females who sit with the males when they come in and get them to buy drinks. One of the females who was, I was told by another English-speaking employee, we found her name to be Cristina Garcia Raimundo of El Salvador, 4/30/92. This young lady was so intoxicated, inebriated, whatever you want to say, that she could not even sit in a chair and stay up without another person holding her. She was moaning, crying at the sight of us in there. She became even more terrified. She was so intoxicated she could not move. And we had to get one of the employees to pretty much promise us that they would drive her home. She refused any medical attention at all. Again, like he said, there were only 4 copies of their IDs, but each lady had an ID and showed it to Inspector Chris Amalis and I, or the ones that did have IDs on them showed them to us. And the knowledge that I have, or the information I've been given, is these young ladies are waiting to be paid. They're waiting to be paid their amount of the drinks that they were able to pretty much award the bar at the end of the night.
Do you have questions for the
Yeah,
detective?
well, they're basically sitters. You know what a sitter is, don't you?
I just explained what a sitter is.
No, do you know what a sitter is? That's all I'm asking. If you don't, tell me you don't know.
What I explained was, these are young ladies
No,
who are
I'm asking
employed.
you a question. Do you know what a sitter is?
Trying to answer, and I
No,
think
it's
you
just a
sh- I
yes or
think
no,
you-
it's a yes or no answer,
Let-
yes or no.
Basically,
him
the 4
respond.
ladies that we were able to ID are what he's calling sitters. They're also seated there with the bar, just like the other 9 who we could not identify, to sit with the gentleman to help them get drinks.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And so then with saying
Is
that,
there something
you're agreeing
wrong?
that they are
You
employees.
always want to argue with me. I ask you a question. Is there anything wrong with it, yes or no?
Mr. Kudinski, I'll admit, I don't know what a sitter is. Can you
A
please?
sitter is somebody comes down, you know, tell the real story is, only because I have the knowledge, they have a lot of the people that work all day, they're laborers, they come in, they sit down, they're from the neighborhood, they want some company. The sitters come over and they talk to them and they buy them drinks. They used to do that on a block that they do in a lot of other places. And it's nothing wrong with that. And if they come in and they say, can you buy a drink? I'll buy a drink. I'll see you sitting over there, buy them a drink.
Why do you-
And that's fine.
I mean, okay, so when you say there's nothing wrong with it, you mean there's no violation of law
Or any regulation if somebody.
or
buys
regulation?
somebody a drink.
But there's other things that apply that, we don't really regulate. I mean, as a woman, I find it a little offensive. I find
but
it,
you could be-
but wait. I find it highly offensive. But we don't regulate morality and offense, but don't say there's nothing wrong with it.
Buy a man a drink. So would we be offended
Well-
if they bought a man a drink?
I think that the last time I bought a man a drink is like never.
Well,
But that's
I'm saying
not,
that-
but that's not what we're,
That's you.
yeah, that's
I
me.
bought men drinks. I would come in the place and say, give them a
That's your
drink.
business.
No.
But so I just, because actually, what's happening here, I'll just say for myself, I never heard of this term sitter. I'm the grandmother of a 1-year-old. I got sitters. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something really
You used to
different.
have Mickey Finn's written in your rule book, and people never knew what a Mickey Finn was, but it was in there for years.
So we're getting an education this morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, it seems to me that there's two arguments that are before the board. The first one is Mr. Kadensky believes that there's no significant difference between subsections A and B of 4.05. As Mr. Page pointed out at the last hearing, one does speak to consumption of alcohol and the other speaks to serving alcohol. So legislature or whoever, I guess it was our board that created these rules, deemed that there was a difference, and I'm going to abide by the difference. As to the 3.03 violation, I guess the argument is that these women either are or are not employees of the bar. And I guess that's a matter for determination by each one of the commissioners as to whether they think that they're employed and whether records had to be kept for them. So is there anything further?
No, nothing further. I think Mr. Morales has taken a corrective action in the case. He's going to be there, make sure everybody is out of the place, whether they're sitters or not sitters. 65 years old, he's had this place since the year 2000, and it's a tough business. Business is not good on the street.
I hear you. On the basis of the evidence, did you have other things?
Well, I do. What is the corrective action with respect to the sitters that are collecting coins and then getting cashed out at the end of the night?
I don't know anything about them collecting coins.
Well, what does your client say? What's your client have to say about it?
But the coins, do the girls collect the coins, the sitters?
They get a stamp for every beer that they drink.
Okay.
So we count, if they have too many drinks, hey, you cannot have any more drinks. Officer here said Christine was passed out.
Mm-hmm.
I was not there to deny or say yes, no. But I probably agree that she has too much to drink and it was sitting there. The point is, I'm not sure she was holding a drink at the moment that the officer saw her or not, or she was just sitting there kind of lagging.
So, Mr. Morales, did she get paid at the end of the night, even though she was a little over inebriated? Did she still get paid at the end of the night?
No, we count their drinks.
You count her drinks.
Right.
And do you also count the drinks that are consumed by the people that sit with her and while she's drinking, they're drinking too? How does she get compensated for that socializing?
They come and they drink. The patrons, they come in and buy her a drink.
Okay, and how much do you pay her for that activity?
I don't pay her anything.
Okay, so you pay her in drinks though, because she doesn't have to pay for her drinks, correct?
Basically, she doesn't pay for her drink.
Okay.
The person buy her a drink and that's it.
So she gets compensated for the drinks. You said, what is the point of the stamps? You say
So
you.
we know if she have too much to drink, we either give her a glass of water, a bottle of water, or something else. Christine, I don't understand how she was the way she was.
How long have you known Christina?
Not long. She comes and goes every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't regularly, is there every day or per se every weekend.
So why do you give the girls, and I'm using your word, the young ladies, stamps?
So we count if she have.
Why do you care?
Because we don't want them to fall like this lady was.
Do you give the men stamps?
No,
Why not?
because they be paying for the drink and We just have a security guard to make sure, hey, if
Don't
he
you
has-
care if the men fall on their faces?
I do care if they fall, but we don't sell them over if they seen him that they drunk. Basically, they drunk, they cannot stand. We don't sell them no more. That's it. Sometimes they come into the place, they already drunk. The security guard don't let him in. If they don't let him in, he goes and stand in a corner and make a phone call. Something is happening. At times, they have called the police 10 times, and it's like, who makes that call? Somebody in a corner because the security guard didn't let him come in because he was too drunk. They come in.
Mr. Morales, why is there a separate system for the women? Why do the women get stamps and the men get drinks?
The women get stamps because they hold less drink than the men.
Who says?
That's what we always think.
So, why the paternalistic oversight of the women, but not the men? I really don't understand this.
Okay.
Because it seems like there's something else happening, and like you've got oversight over these women as though they're your employees, and they are your employees. Is that correct?
No, they're not my employees.
But you pay them.
No, we don't pay them. We count their drinks, and they drink for free.
Ah, okay. Free to them.
Free to them, yes.
Anything further?
Nope.
Mr. Morales, what's your policy with respect to individuals in your establishment who are inebriated? Do you have I mean, you had mentioned.
You probably don't understand. They have too much to drink. What do you do with them?
I appreciate the fact that you said if someone comes in and they're drunk, the security doesn't allow them in. I appreciate that. What do you do if there's someone that's in the establishment that's drunk? In this case, Mrs. Raimundo. What's the policy?
We don't sell them no more.
You don't
We don't sell them no more beer or
you-
drinks, whatever they drinking.
But that's part of the problem of this system, right? Because it's not a buy-sell system. And so let me, if I could, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Crisomales, is there a reason why you didn't also charge this establishment under 4.02, inebriates and drug addict?
The reason we didn't charge for the female being overserved is because we couldn't identify that was the only place she was drinking in, and we never saw her drinking in there. So the argument could have been she came in already drunk. So without us witnessing her drinking at that establishment, we couldn't charge her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. On the basis,
One thing, I think it's interesting. Anybody remember the famous ballroom? Where you buy tickets to
Vaguely.
dance with the ladies?
I never was there.
Sorry, I was wrong.
Okay. On the basis of the admissions, as well as the evidence that's presented, I would find a violation of Rule 4.05A on March 25, 2017, a violation of Rule 4.05B on March 25, 2017, and on the basis of the representations made by the manager on the evening of March 25, 2017, I'd find a violation of Rule 3.03C as well. I note that this licensee was here in 2014 for violations, in 2011 for violations, in 2008 for violations, unlawful sales to minors, disturbing the community. The record is not good. I would impose, as to each violation, a $1,000 fine, and I would suspend the license for 4 days.
I concur.
I concur with the findings of the violations and the impositions as well on the suspension.
You have 30 days to pay.
Start the suspension.
It will start today.
Start immediately
Well,
or tomorrow?
we want to do 4 days. We can start tomorrow, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
It's fine.
Okay? Thank you.
Yes, I can see that here, Mr. Kudinski. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, John Crisomales. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Gatto. Thank you.
Does that conclude our morning docket, Mr. Page?
It does, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
All right, thank you. Are we ready?
Do we have, yeah, we got our reporter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the proceedings of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, there being no preliminary matters on the PM docket, I'll call the first case, which is a violation hearing. Young, Wok, An, and Patrick T. Min, ACA Liquors, Inc., trading as Eric 500 East North Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.20 CII, Class BD7 licenses. Open and operating tavern at all times on March the 31st, 2017. Please come forward.
Would everyone raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. An and Mr. Min? Which one?
Mr. Min is sick, was unable to come.
Who's Mr. An?
This is Mr. An.
Mr. Honor, you're charged with a violation of Rule 4.20 C small double I for failing to grant access to the tavern portion of the premises on March 31, 2017. Are you going to admit that violation or contest it?
저거를 받아들이세요? 아니면 실상을 좀 인정하세요? He wanna contest.
Okay.
Hold on a second here. What's your name, sir?
My name is John.
Microphone, please.
Yeah, my name is John Lee.
Spell it.
Jong.
Thank you. Lee?
Yes.
L-E?
Lee.
Okay, who's going to testify for the commission? Please.
Detective L.C. Greenhill, OID Vice Enforcement. On 31st March of this year, between the hours of 12:15 and 12:30 a.m., Detectives Greenhill and Gato, along with Chief Inspector Mark Fossil and Agent Chris Amalis, conducted a BD7 check at Eric 500, located at 500 East North Avenue. Also working with Detectives O. Akawande and Jay Garrett, both of OID Vice, and both working in a plainclothes capacity, posting as patrons in an attempt to gain entry into the taverns of each establishment. The purpose of the BD7 checks is basically to determine if all BD7s are operating at taverns correctly. Detectives Garrett at 12:15 entered the location of 500 East North Avenue at known as Eric 500, and asked the black male working in the rear bar area if the bar was open. The black male, later identified as Anthony D. Miles, replied saying, "Not yet," later, indicating the rear bar was closed to customers. Detectives Garrett then left the location and notified Detective Greenhill that he had been refused service into the bar. Then at 12:30 a.m., detectives, including myself and Detective Gatto from Vice and the inspectors from Liquor Board, entered 500 East North Avenue and advised night manager Reginald Tony that the bar would be written up for liquor board violations relating to the tavern side of the bar. Agent Chris Amalis explained to Mr. Tony that if the packaged goods of the establishment is open, then the adjacent bar area would also have to be open to customers as well. Mr. Tony stated the rear bar was open, even stating he had customers. Detective Greenhill advised Mr. Tony that if a hearing is held, he would have a chance to explain his side as to why his employee, Anthony Miles, refused service to Detective Garrett. Establishment left in the control of Mr. Tony.
Do you have any questions for the detective?
Yes, I'm Reginald Tony, the night manager.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was actually.
No, I'm not asking for you to testify. I'm asking if you have any questions for the detective.
I actually would like to know what happened to the paperwork because I didn't receive a copy of it.
What paperwork you were supposed to receive a copy?
The actual written up complaint.
The liquor board issues those complaints. We don't. The police department does not. You want a copy, you have to go down to the police department and request a copy.
Anything further? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Do you all wish to testify?
No, I'm just translating for Mr. An. I just come to translate.
Does he want to tell us anything?
Mayor?
Yes?
I'm the current night manager. I've been running the store for the last 3 years. I'm aware of all the rules and what happens. I was actually standing inside of the lounge that current night working. I had 2 customers inside the lounge. No one asked about the lounge because we now have a sign in the window that's been posted up there for the last 2 months, as per we were told by one of the liquor board representatives. We have a $5 door fee. When we refer people to the sign, most people do not pay the fee. They don't want to pay the fee. I have others that do, and I have them in my lounge every single day.
Well, what happened, are you the Mr. Mialis?
No, sir, he is my employee. He
Oh,
works
okay.
the front window while I run the lounge.
Okay. Well, do you know why you didn't allow them into the tavern?
No one asked him about entering the tavern. They just asked him, was the lounge open?
Well, was it?
Yes.
Well,
I
why
had
did he
2
say
customers.
not now?
He did not say that.
So you just disagree with the detective, okay. So it's always open, you're saying?
Yes.
Because you know that just 8 months or so ago, they were found in violation for the exact same thing.
I have not had that problem in a long time.
How long have you been there?
I've been there for 3 years since the store has been reopened.
Well, were you here in November of last year when they were found guilty of this?
Yes, that was actually my fault.
But you just testified that you've never had this problem in a long time.
I'm wording things incorrectly. I apologize.
Okay.
But once I actually learned how to run that lounge, I have not had a problem since then. I'm not understanding where this came from because at this time I was standing inside of the lounge itself.
Okay. Is there anything else that the respondent wants to say?
Sure. I can speak. I'm not their
You-
attorney representative. My name is Kelly Cross, president of the Old Goucher Community Association. I was here before you
Yes.
just a couple of months ago, to speak on behalf of Eric 500's application for a license transfer. This violation obviously occurred before we came in for that license transfer, but as I mentioned at that hearing, Eric 500 is one of the stores, one of 3 stores on the Greenmount Avenue corridor that we are working with in conjunction with the Greenmount West Community Association and the Rebuild Johnston Square Community Association to reposition. This store is really making strides forward. It's unfortunate that this occurred I believe in March, but we have been working very closely with the store over the last couple of months and look forward to doing a lot more going forward. I think it's very important for us right now where we are with this initiative, not just in this neighborhood, but with these other stores throughout the city. It's important that they continue to be able to function, to bring in revenue, because those are revenues that we're going to be using to do some of the work that needs to be done on these stores. I will say, with regards to the testimony, and I certainly wouldn't impugn anyone's credibility, but in speaking with a number of stores, particularly Asian American-owned stores around Baltimore City, I've heard similar complaints, similar stories about vice squads coming in and purportedly asking for entrance into these BD7, into the tavern portions of some of these establishments. But the people who are running the stores saying that actually did not occur. It's been a little concerning to me just because.
Why would someone do that?
There could be targeting of particular establishments to get rid of certainly certain BD7 licenses in particular neighborhoods. I'm not going to speak to motivations, but I will just say that this has been something that I've heard from various establishments, and it's been a little concerning to me. But beyond that, our view is that with these stores, with the community associations and the initiatives that we're working on, it's important that they be able to remain open.
You know that this place has a horrendous record.
Absolutely horrendous record. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that, and that's one of the reasons. It's an interesting challenge, but it is at a very prominent intersection. It's an amenity. BD7s are amenities that we're seeking to bring into those to our parts of the city and to other parts of the city. And I think as we've had communication with this particular business owner and other BD7 licensees, and they come to understand the transformative power that these licenses can have in neighborhoods, they're also starting to understand that they have to change some of their operations.
Commissioners, you have questions?
I do not.
Is Mr. Miles not here?
No, he's not. Just the supervisor is here.
So, it would have been helpful for me to hear Mr. Miles' testimony, given Mr. Tony's testimony. It would have been helpful to know his experience. I don't have any questions.
I agree with that.
Okay. Anything further? On the basis of the evidence before the board, testimony that's been received this afternoon, as well as the materials in the violation file, I find a violation of Rule 4.20C small double I on March 31, 2017. It's troublesome as to know what to do with this because the record is so horrible. We are permitted to impose a fine of up to $3,000. I will, and I impose a 10-day suspension.
I think one of the most difficult violations for me is this having the BD7 license and not being open when they're supposed to be open. And I've said it before, and I'll just say it again, it's because you have a huge business advantage from having the BD7 license. You get to be open earlier and longer than licensees that don't have that type of license. And Eric 500 is at one of the most prominent intersections and corners in the city, and it's important. The location is important, the business is important. I appreciate that there's an effort to reposition the business and to make it better. It's going to take a lot of effort because there's such a healthy record of things not being in compliance. And I think every year that I've been on the board as a commissioner, I've gotten to meet people from Eric 500. You have a lot of support from the community. There's a lot of interest. It hasn't gelled yet. It's not happened yet. I do find that the violation occurred. I appreciate efforts to be better. This is a location that doesn't get the benefit of doubt or days off or, a mistake being overlooked because of the record and because the violation is established and because of the record. I'm going to agree with the chair and find the violation, and I agree with the imposition of the fine.
I concur with my colleagues on the finding of the violation and the imposition of the fine.
Okay, you have 30 days to pay the fine. Thank you.
Any exhibits?
Sir, when do you want the suspension?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
So just so I'm clear, a violation, a fine, and a suspension, is that correct?
Yes.
Next, see Mr. Ong down here. I have to close exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector John Chrisomalis.
Oh, okay, sure.
Board Exhibit 2, former City Police Department report, Detective Greenhill.
Councilwoman, do you want to come up? Introduce your students?
Oh.
That's all right. That's okay. We're between hearings, so.
Oh, great. These 16 young people.
Are they going to come forward?
You all, young people, come on up.
Oh, good, thank you. Come on up.
You're on TV.
Yeah, smile for the camera.
You're actually on television.
You're on television, Channel 25. No, once you're up here, you're on TV. So, members of the board, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here. Okay, well, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for this moment to introduce the Southeast Youth Collaborative, and we're doing a tour of City Hall. And I've told them briefly before we arrived here what you're doing here today, and then somebody thinks it's like a court hearing, but.
That's because I used to be a judge and I always behave that way.
But we're sorry to interrupt, but we're really glad to be here.
Well, welcome to all of you. And you are high school students?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody graduating this coming year? No? Still a little young for that? Okay.
So tell them what high schools you're from.
I go to Baltimore Design School.
Nice. Great.
Good for you.
I go to City.
Seton?
City.
City, oh, okay.
Baltimore City College.
Yes, okay.
I go to Western.
Oh, yeah.
I go to City too. Oh, I'm going to Baltimore Design School.
Mm-hmm,
I go to Franklin.
mm-hmm.
I go to Carver. I go to City too. Forest Park.
Uh-huh. Well, you know, I used to,
And this is Miss Gail Cuffey. She is their fearless leader.
welcome, Ms. Coffey.
Thank you so much.
So one of the things I used to get to do when I was a judge was to have high school students do moot trial cases in front of us. And I remember one year when City College won that competition, and they had excellent students doing it. So if you all might want to think about doing that competition as part of your extracurriculars when you get back in school, it's a lot of fun. And you can really learn what lawyers do, like these fine lawyers I have with me. But welcome and have a good day. Enjoy your summer.
Can we ask one question? What is the Southeast Collaborative, Southeast Youth Collaborative? Any one of you able to tell us what that is?
If everyone would turn their backs, it's a combination
All these funds.
organizations.
Oh, nice.
And it's 140 youth workers under these organizations to make a difference in the city and to help Patterson Park be a better place and a better place that people can visit.
Wonderful.
So it's Banner Neighborhoods, it's the Creative Alliance, Southeast Community Development, Living Classrooms.
Watch out for
Done this to us. Friends of Patterson Park Charter School, Breath of God Lutheran Church, Intersection, Audubon, and Healthy Harbor.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they've all contributed for this, and this is one group of many in this collaborative.
Fantastic.
Great.
We're all youth workers.
Fantastic.
So
I hope you're having a good summer.
Enjoy what's left of the summer. It's hot out there today.
Thanks for coming in. Thank you for bringing them in.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. Mr. Page?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Second on the PM docket, Chatan Shamrock, Jatinder Singh, PNJ Inc., trading as Clubhouse Bar and Liquor, 4217 Urban Avenue. This is a Class BD7, here on liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.20 CII. Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on April the 26th, 2017. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct on April the 26th, 2017. In violation of Rule 3.03C, records on April the 26th, 2017. Raise your right hand.
Everyone raise your right hand, please.
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Kadansky, is this,
This will be not an admission.
okay. You're going to contest all three?
Yeah.
Okay. Detective?
Detective L.C. Greenhill, OID Vice, Baltimore City Police Department. On 26 April of this year, at 11:55 p.m., Detectives Greenhill and Gatto of OID Vice, along with Agent Chris Malice of the Liquor Control Board, conducted a B7 check at 4217 Urban Avenue, a liquor establishment known as Clubhouse Bar. Also working was in plainclothes capacity Detective Akawande, also of Vice. Again, the purpose of the checks is to make sure that all the BD7s are operating correctly. Detective Akawande, who was working plainclothes, entered the aforementioned establishment in an attempt to gain entry on the tavern side of the bar. He approached the plexiglass window and observed a Middle Eastern male, later identified as Rapindra Rod Messina, working. Detective Akawande purchased a bottle of alcoholic beverage and paid for the purchase. Detective Akawande asked if the bar was open.
Well, I'm going to object this. Is he here?
Yes,
All right. I'll object if he's, is that him here with the mask on?
that's correct.
Wow,
Well,
that's interesting.
well, we can get him to testify.
Okay.
If you'd like. Okay. Go ahead, Detective, finish.
Detective Akawande asked if the bar was open. Mr. Tomasina stated no. Detective Akawande could hear a female voice having a conversation in another room. Detective Akawande received this purchase alcohol and left the establishment. Detective Akawande notified myself, Detective Greenhill, via text message that the establishment known as Clubhouse Bar and Liquor had failed. The message indicated to Detective Greenhill that the establishment was closed to customers. Myself, along with Gatto and Agent Chris Malice, entered Clubhouse Bar to find the packaged goods side of the operation with employee Mr. Tomasino in full operational control. As we walked through the packaged goods side and entered the rear tavern, we observed 2 females and one male who was behind the bar. The 2 unidentified females were drinking and smoking, and the male later identified as Kevin Watkins Jr. was heavily intoxicated. Detective Greenhill and Agent Chris Malice advised Mr. Tomasino that he had refused entry to a patron who wanted to sit at the bar, referring to Detective Akawande. Detective Greenhill asked Mr. Tomasino if Mr. Watkins was his bartender on duty. Mr. Tomasino advised Detective Greenhill and Agent Chris Mallett that he did not know who the guy was standing behind the bar, referring to Mr. Watkins. Agent Chris Mallett asked to see the employee records, which time Mr. Tomasino could not readily produce employee records at that time. Furthermore, Mr. Tomasino was advised that the bar would remain open, but a report would be written up and forwarded to the liquor board. Agent Chris Mallett, along with myself, advised Mr. Tomasino that if the packaged goods side of the establishment is in operation, so too the tavern must also be open. Although Agent Chris Malice and Detective Greenhill believe that Detective Akawande asked to be admitted, knowing Mr. Watkins, although the statements remain unclear. Our investigation was concluded at that time, and the establishment left in the control of Mr. Tomasino.
Okay. Do you want me to ask the detective what they said to him? You want to start with him?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Seems like a nice enough person. So you had no conversations about getting served in the bar area?
Myself going in or
Yeah,
the
you.
detective?
No, you.
No, because I was conducting the investigation.
Okay. But when you went in, you got in the bar area, and there people were drinking in the bar area.
That's correct.
So the bar was open,
Obviously,
and there were 2 young ladies in the bar.
correct.
So the packaged goods was open and the bar was open.
That's correct.
And you said that there was 2 young ladies, I don't know how young they are, 2 females and a gentleman.
Correct.
All right. You didn't get their names, but you got the one fellow's name's Kevin Watkins?
Correct. He was behind the bar,
Okay.
attempting to be posed as a bartender.
How do you know that?
Well, typically when we when we go in these bars, someone standing behind the bar, we assume it works behind the bar and it's serving drinks.
So the bar was open, somebody was back there, people were drinking.
Yeah, people were drinking.
Okay. What were the name of the 2 young ladies?
Didn't get their names
All right. Well, how do you know they were smoking?
because I saw them smoking. Then I smelled the evidence of smoke.
You saw them with cigarettes in their hands.
That's correct.
And did they violate anything?
As far as being smoking,
Yeah.
they probably didn't know the rules.
They didn't, but that's no excuse, is it really?
Yeah, well, that's up to the bar. It's up to the bar's job to make sure that customers are not smoking.
All right. And when you went and asked, who did you ask for employee records?
The bar employee that was working, which is the Tomasino gentleman.
Do you see him here today? Well, now you see him because he told you who he is.
Well, you're supposed to kick your clients.
Story of my life. All right. Did you talk to him?
Yes.
All right. Did he show you any records at all?
No.
Did he say where they were or he didn't have them or?
Just said he didn't have them. He didn't have access to them.
All right. So he was there.
That's correct.
And there was somebody behind selling packaged goods.
Well, he was only, from what I saw, he was the only person
Yeah,
there.
And then there was the other fellow was in the other
Mr.
part.
Watkins.
Where they were drinking in the other side.
That's correct.
Okay. And you're saying Detective Akawande was there, who's over there behind you, right?
Yeah, he was.
He didn't look like that. I
He
hope.
was the undercover detective that night. So
He-
yes, he didn't look like that.
I wouldn't let
He was
him in
posing
anywhere
as
if he came
he
in
was
there.
posing as a customer.
Okay. And then he was a customer.
Yes, as well. On this night he was.
Okay. And he bought something.
Yes, he made a purchase.
The people in the back were making a purchase. They were open.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have further questions.
Did you want to testify?
No, I mean, my report mirrors the detectives. The only thing I have to add is, like the detective said, when we asked the employee who Mr. Watkins was, he had no clue. And it got to the point where it was so unusual Detective Greenhill asked him, "Are you being robbed?" At which point he said no. So as far as the bar being open for business, I never saw any money being exchanged from the people in the back. I don't know who they were. Obviously, there were people that were very comfortable in the bar. They were drinking and smoking and behind the counter. So I don't know what relationship they have with the licensee or the manager.
But they were back there drinking and they were being convivial, is that correct?
They were drinking and smoking in the back, that's
Okay.
correct.
Do you know what happened to Mr. Watkins?
From what I've heard in the news, I think Mr. Watkins is deceased.
He was killed. Okay.
Okay, did you want to present evidence?
But how about Detective
Well,
Okamwande?
if
He
you
said
want,
he
if
can't
you
wait
want me to
come
have him
up here.
testify, we can.
Come on up here.
He'll testify from down there, but
Was he sworn in?
I believe so. Weren't you sworn? Yes. So, Detective, can you tell us what happened when you attempted to enter the tavern?
So, on that day, I walked into the tavern at approximately 11:45. There was an older white gentleman sweeping the common area. I milled around, found something I wanted to purchase, which is a bottle of Amsterdam. I asked an Indian male, I believe there was another gentleman in there that I asked for access to the bar area. While I was in there, I did hear female voices, so I assumed the bar was actually open. But when I did ask for entrance into the bar area, I was denied entrance. There was a simple no, the bar is not open. I usually go into these locations and ask, is your bar open? They either say yes and they let me back, or they say no. This was just a plain no when I asked, is the bar open?
Did you order a drink out in front?
I purchased something.
Yeah, but did you order a mixed drink or a beer or something like that?
Absolutely not, sir.
Would
Not in the
you-
common area, because that was the packaged good area.
But you can order a mixed drink there, you understand that? It's a bar, you can order a drink there. If they would have offered you a drink, would you have ordered a drink?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
If they would have offered, if you had said, I want a Bud Light to drink here, would you have bought it?
Absolutely.
You didn't ask for that, though.
I asked if the bar was open.
But there were people back there, you saw them.
I didn't see anybody.
You
I
heard
s-
'em.
My
Okay.
testimony is
No
I
further
heard
questions.
female voices.
Okay. You do want to present evidence?
Sure. State your name and address.
Hi, my name is Ruben Ras
You're
Timolsina.
going to have to speak up a little bit so everybody can hear you. Go ahead.
I live in 509 Castle Drive, Baltimore, MD 21212.
You were the person
Apartment B.
who was the
Excuse me.
manager.
Excuse me.
Did you get it?
Rupendra Ras Timolsina.
All right, I have the spelling here.
You were working that night?
Yeah, I
All
was
right.
working on that shift.
And you were in the one area and the bar was open?
Mhm.
Was people in the bar drinking?
Yeah.
Who was in there?
There were 3 customers, and I had 2 ladies and 1 young boy. Young boy generally comes there, so I know him. He's familiar with us. So he was just the TV was there. So, and the remote I had is on the ice box, just below the TV box. So he said he generally asked me, "Can I reach to the remote?" So when he was talking with the girls on the other side when I was serving, but he asked me for the remote. I said I allowed him to get the remote. So he was back at the bar, and when the officers came, he was just there.
Is this Mr. Watkins?
Mr. Watkins was a man in the back. Do you know him as
No,
Mr.
no.
Watkins?
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
No.
No, this was a young boy, you
Yeah,
said.
Kevin.
His first name is Kevin.
Yeah, his first name is Kevin.
And how old are you, sir?
Sorry?
How old are you?
Me 23.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
Sorry?
How long have you worked there?
Oh, like it's been like 1 year, I think, almostly.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
1 year. Okay, but you wouldn't remember this fellow here because he won't show us his face right now. So
Mhm.
you wouldn't know that was the fellow that came in.
No.
Did anybody come in and?
Yeah, when the inspector come in and approached me, he said, "Do you know?" And I said him. He said, "You did this, okay?" So I asked him. I'm not sure. I didn't say that to him. So can you please show me the person? I told no, and he said, "You are not going to see him here. You will see him on the court." And then I again asked him. I have to my job because I didn't say it, so I need my job to be secure. I have to answer my boss. So I generally said him, can I look at the person so I can be confident and I'm not getting fired of the job. So the officer denied to show and he said you'll see him on the court. And he asked me for the guy who was sitting at the bar, behind the bar. He said, you do have the employee record? No, he's just a customer. So why was he here then? He just was chatting with the girls and came around to grab a remote for the TV. And the officer said, do you have a record for him if he's back here? Because he must be he must be, the person only working can be the behind the bar. So I said, but he's a customer, so he don't have an employee record. So every employee record was already on notice board. We have a schedule up there, and every employee record was on the notice board. So the officers were looking for it, and.
Well, so it's back up. You said this is the notice is your scheduled employees, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your list of all your employees.
All these were hanging there, and it's already staged. We pull it out and bring it today.
But he was only asking about the fellow in the back. You referred to him as Kevin.
Yeah, we don't have the record for him.
All right, so how about the fact that he said they were smoking back there?
Yeah, our back door entrance exit is just like 4 or 5 feet away from our bar. So when the officers came in, the two ladies there were smoking on the door, like step outside, just in the door, standing by the door, and when it's just close to the bar. So when the officers came in, I thought the smell of the cigarette might have been there, but I didn't find any.
Just a picture of the door. You say that
Yes.
people go out and smoke.
So-
Easy. I'll show it. I got another one. I got another
He
one.
wants to run your case.
I know. I got another one. You got him all hyped up here.
This, oh,
The bar is
okay, this is, the inside door is open, but the outside door is closed?
at this time, yeah. So this is a picture, another picture. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The bar, and then the people step out there and they have a smoke.
Yeah, they were outside the door open, and they were smoking. So they just come in and have a seat, and the guy wanted to change the channel. So
And the bar that you have there is a full bar, right? It's set up, bar stools, people drinking,
people drinking.
little area, little lounge area.
Yeah.
You're offering these?
Offering, please.
Be received.
Why don't you have one more too? I mean, they're all pretty
Thank
close.
you.
I'm sorry. There are times when there's a little doorway there, correct? It's not there anymore.
No.
It's been removed.
Yeah.
And you had that there for security purposes?
Yeah.
In fact, the man who was there was eventually killed, Mr. Watkins,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but since that time, that area that where people, you'd wait to see who they are,
Yeah.
you know, you would then let them in if you would know who they were. The people in back were the customers, so you knew who they were.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let somebody in that came in with a mask on, obviously, or somebody you weren't sure of. That's the reason why they asked you if you were being robbed.
Yeah.
Okay. No further questions.
Any other evidence?
I'd just like to add.
That's not my case now.
Yeah,
Well,
well, let's find out if he's finished. Do you,
I'm subject to any kind of rebuttal, or at this point, I don't know what the
well,
detective's gonna say.
if you have nothing else, I'll hear from the detective.
I'd just like to add that typically when you go into a bar, you go to the rear of the bar, or wherever the bar is, sit at the bar in order to drink. You typically don't go to the packaged goods and ask for a Bud Light. They give it to you to the turnstile, then you go into the bar.
I understand that.
That's typically. That's what you're saying.
Mr.
Pretty much.
Cadence's
Yeah.
job is to come up with the unusual situation.
I know that there are places that the whole place is licensed. You can drink there. You can't take it out.
Okay.
Open container. And there are times when there's not enough people working or not in there. You only have an individual, and he says that, you know, you want a Bud Light, you want to watch the light. Okay, sit down here, you can watch it. It's fine. And if there's more customers, you let them in. You can go to a lot of places, go down in the Horseshoe. Every part of the Horseshoe is not open at all times. Binion's, every section's not open. Once they get one section open, they then overflow, you know.
Okay, commissioners have questions?
What are the names of the women that were in the bar area?
they were customers, so I don't know the,
Had
they
you
were
s-
just the customers, so.
Had you seen them before? Had they been there before?
They come sometimes, yeah, like, not every day, but, yeah.
So when they came, you recognized them and they asked to come sit in and have a drink and you let them in, is that correct?
Yeah, they come in, so they're not regular though. They just come sometimes, and they want to have a seat. So yeah.
So you'd seen them before?
Yeah.
That's the question. You had seen them before?
Yes.
All right. And so then the person, was it Mr. Watkins,
Yeah.
who was behind?
Kevin.
His name is Kevin Watkins? Had he been there before?
Yeah, he's like he comes often than the girls, so I know him. Like he's a regular customer, like not
Okay.
regular, but he comes twice a week. Like
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, he's regular. I know him well.
Was he there with the women?
Yeah, he was drinking with the women, so he was there. The three people, they three came in, so they were drinking there.
So the three came at the same time?
Yeah.
And how long had they been there when the officer came and
Probably like hour and a half.
okay. And when the officer came, had you seen the officer before?
Sorry?
The detective? When the detective came and he made a purchase and asked to sit in the bar, was
No,
that someone you had seen
yeah.
before?
I didn't. I didn't say anybody. So that I asked when the inspector came in. So I asked him. So I need to answer to my boss. So can I see the person who? Because I didn't tell him. So
I hadn't got that far yet. I just want to focus on when he first came in
Mhm.
and he made a purchase. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that. So let me try to slow walk you to where I'm headed. You don't remember the
No, I had
detective
customers.
coming
I
in?
was taking customers oftenly. So I had many customers.
Were you
I was-
working by yourself?
Customers were coming there. So some were coming, going. So I was serving back. So it was slow and.
Wait, it was slow, but you had customers? Yeah. It's okay. It's just me. I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Okay? So just, were you working by yourself?
No, I had other guy working outside.
There was another person, another employee working with you. And so were you taking care of the packaged goods area?
Mhm.
And your coworker was working in the bar area?
He was filling the coolers, doing mopping, all that, but I was taking care of the customers.
Okay. And when you say you were taking care of the customers, does that include the people that were sitting in the bar area? Okay. And you were also taking care of the customers that were coming
Yeah,
and trying to make purchase a bottle
Yeah.
or whatever?
yeah,
So that was you?
Yeah.
Okay. And as you stand here right now,
yeah.
you don't remember the person that came and made a purchase and then asked to go into the bar area?
No,
You
so
do not remember that?
no.
Okay.
So I asked. That's why when the officers came in,
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
I
Now,
asked
you
him,
asked
yeah.
to see him,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't know him today because you can't see him
Okay,
today.
you know what? I'm not asking
No,
that.
but-
So, but you know what? It's my turn. So why don't you wait till I'm done and then you can take over and, all right. So the bottom line is you don't remember. And then once you found out that there was a possible violation, you wanted to see the person so you could be reminded
Mhm.
of what happened. And then that was denied you?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So, do you know how it happened that Mr. Watkins was identified as an employee?
no, I didn't say he.
You didn't, no one identified him as an employee?
No.
He was just behind the bar?
He was just behind the bar like this.
Okay. And had that happened before, that he would be behind the bar and just serving himself?
No, he was not serving himself. I was serving, but he was just grabbing a remote. Like he wanted to change the channel. So
Oh, he was just getting the
Yeah,
remote
remote.
control. Is that
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah.
testimony? Is that what you want me to understand?
yeah,
Okay. So, okay. And the remote was behind the bar.
yeah. So I
And-
have kept on my side of them.
So it was a misunderstanding.
So when the officers came in, they saw him there.
Okay. Okay, I think I understand. Thank you very much.
But you wouldn't know who it was now because you never saw the person who they said you denied it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so even if you if you saw them today, you can't tell that. When you work, the bar goes, when you work, you can work from the bar right up through into the package, goes back and forth, so you do
Yeah.
both services.
Yeah.
The person that, Kevin, when he was down the end of the bar, he was down near the door.
It's okay if he sits down, right, the older gentleman?
Yes.
He was down near the end here, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, does he need some water? It's okay, okay.
Okay. And, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I didn't.
And about
Mr.
whether he was an
Kadeski
employee,
testifies that we have
they were asking whether or not he was an employee, the person, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, I see.
No, okay, all right, got it. I'm sorry, again.
No, let me, if I could start with the employee records. Let me start with that issue. So the testimony was that this was pinned up on the wall. Is that right? I mean, it was present at the premises. Okay. And these are all the employees at the establishment?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I assume you know, or maybe you don't know, that, assuming you knew that these were available to point the inspectors in that direction, which maybe you didn't know at the time, that based on this evidence, it doesn't meet the regulations we follow. So there needs to be additional information in employee records, including last four social security numbers, et cetera. So that's just a point of clarification. Unless you have that somewhere else, do you have that somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay.
That is,
Excuse me, we don't have your name, and you've been talking the whole time.
No,
so
he
I
hasn't.
need to-
He hasn't spoken.
This gentleman keeps speaking, though, and I don't have his name.
What is your name, sir?
Manpreet Singh.
Go ahead, please.
That is something, we keep it separate because it's their social security number. There are, they have the site checks over there. All the checks are every week, they come over there and they come for 1 month checks. So the record with the accountant is also safe over there.
Okay.
So we do maintain, as he mentioned earlier, there's a big notice board over there where we have a fire department, occupancy permit, health department license, liquor license. So inspector come over there and they hand it to them whole board. So there is no way that they can get away from the employee record, because we did, when the regular inspector comes on the inspection, he did mention it to us, and they given us advice like what are you supposed to do. And we had it from since last 8-9 years.
Okay. So, but the manager at the time wasn't aware that it was located or didn't have access to those records?
Except for those social securities, because we don't allow them to let them know, because employees keep changing. If somebody quits only for 2 weeks, so we don't want to give their personal information.
I understand.
So we kept their ID and their record over there.
I understand. Let me get into the BD7 issue, if I could. You've submitted an exhibit that shows the tavern portion, and it also shows a door that is open in this picture. That evening, or in your normal course of business, is that door closed?
No, that's open.
It's always open?
Open.
So is your testimony that when this could have occurred, this event, that door was open?
That was not
Yeah.
the door.
What's that?
That was not the door.
One person at a time. Mr. Singh.
That was not the door. This is behind the counter. So we now, what happened?
So let me, because maybe I'm confused. What I'm trying to understand is whether, really, what the law says is that you have to permit access to anyone, right? So I'm trying to find out, based on previous cases, we know that these are often locked and you need to be buzzed in. That's really what I'm trying to find out.
We have no buzz at the door. The time when inspector came, we never had no buzz at the door. The door which you are pointing out, this is behind the counter, which is like for them in the liquor store and the bar. So this is not the door for the customer entrance.
Oh, okay, so you're saying that a customer, so in this case, as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the undercover detective came into the packaged goods store first?
Yes.
Is that fair? Which, in this picture, shows that it's out here somewhere, right?
It should be right here. And this is the door which was used to be here, which we removed it permanently now.
When did you remove that door?
It's been 2 months after the same violation.
So let's talk
Before
about,
there was a door.
okay.
Right
Okay, so let me go back to the mic so we can hear you. No, I appreciate it. This is helpful. So what I'm just trying to understand, so there was a door
Yes.
when this incident occurred on April 26th. Was that door closed?
It was locked.
It was locked. How would one gain entry into that tavern?
Sorry?
How would one be able to go into the tavern if it's locked?
No. If anybody want to go inside, then we allow them.
Then you what?
If anybody asks me, then they want to buy the drinks and have a seat, then I'll serve them. Yeah, that's what the three people do.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I just have a question. I want to show you this photograph. And looking at the bench, can you tell me what that is, the silver things are underneath the bench?
This is the six-pack border holder on the box right there. That's the
No,
border-
the silver, they look like dumbbells to me. They look like hand weights.
It's the dumbbells.
Yeah, why are those there?
Oh no, it's just there.
You don't know? Do you know? Mr. Singh, can you tell us why those hand weights are there?
I told them this is something, their personal stuff. There are like 4 people work over there. And I told them to remove it, and they just left it underneath there. So that's a carelessness.
Carelessness. Okay.
This is not anybody's stuff. That's their stuff. I guess when they're slow,
They,
use it.
they lift weights. Okay. And no one is impressed that I know what those are. Okay. Can you hand, you're impressed? Thank you. All right.
I have a
that's
question
just-
for Detective Greenhill. Were you the one who asked Mr. Timosina for the records?
Yes.
Did you ask for the records for the man behind the bar only, or for all his employees?
When I typically ask for their records, I just ask to see the records in addition to whoever's behind the bar.
Did they point you to those
No.
things on the board? Okay. Okay.
I do have another question. I forgot your name, but I know that you're 23 years old. How long have you been working here?
It's where in the store?
1 year.
It's more, I think, more than 1 year.
Oh.
1 year.
Were you working there back in March of 2017? There was a similar violation. Were you on duty then? It was March 9.
I was on duty, but I was not the one that was serving that time.
You were not the one serving that time. Okay. Do you recall who was?
Sorry?
Do you recall who was serving at that time?
Oh. March,
I'm just curious.
might be the other guy working with me.
And was that the other guy that was with you April 25th as well? So the two of you worked together?
Yeah, we
Okay.
two people there. So he was serving the customer. I was filling up the things and taking care of other things. So
Okay.
At that time.
All right. Thank you very much.
So you removed that door. Back to this door, I'm sorry. Was the reason you removed this door because of the access issue?
Yes. See, we got violated before also.
Right.
I was gonna bring up this issue now. See, what happened is the main reason, there were 2 reasons to put that door. First of all, there was never no lock on that door. It's just anybody can walk in over there. It's just push. We no put that electric lock behind the counter where we allow it. So there is no point of asking anybody. So second reason is there's a bathroom, bus stop outside our building. So a lot of people just walk in from bus stop, they don't buy, they just straight goes over there, use the bathroom. So we had the door to avoid the excess traffic, they made a mess. And other reason was security. Now that after when we have this issue, because we had this issue before also we got violated, and we thought of removing that door. After the door we removed on June 9th, there's a young man came up, it's in the police record. I went there over there to get the record for you, but surgeon haven't got back to me. He went to the bathroom straight, he changed his clothes, he put a mask, he tried to jump behind the bar and tried to rob us, pulled a gun. So that was the main reason why we put the door. And the surgeon already recorded that whole incident, so he could not get lucky. So he ended up robbing a customer outside. So this whole incident has been recorded over there. So I was trying to get a copy of it, that. And the other reason why we were asking, why he was asking the inspector if I said anybody no, because we have all those video cameras. We wanted to get a tape to see if we can record it, who did he refuse, and if we know that gentleman really came. So that was the whole purpose of asking the inspector. I personally looked at the tape for half an hour, but I could not see because there's no voice conversation you can record it by law. So you really can't pinpoint it, what they were talking about it. So other we would have, but unfortunately we would have, that's why we wanted the time frame also on that particular time. And unfortunately my DVR was old kind, so it only recorded for 24 hours, which we changed already. So these were the things. So that's pretty much it.
If I might add to that, I definitely went into the location. I was in there. I definitely spoke to him. I can identify the other employees that were in there. There was one other customer. It wasn't busy. The reason why I asked to gain entry into the back is because I couldn't clearly see where the bar was. And we've had issues in the past of me going into establishments, trying the door, and then when the complainants come to the liquor board, they complain that I seemed like I was trying to rob them by trying the door. So I make it easy for them, or somewhat easy, by asking to gain that entry. And once I was denied that, I walked away. It did startle me that there were some female voices in the back. I wasn't sure what the deal with that was. I couldn't tell whether they were drinking or not, or if that was the bar, in fact. To respond to their counsel's question as far as drinking alcohol in the common area, I don't know if there are any pictures of the common area, but that's clearly not an area that I've ever, in my experience, asked for a beverage or a mixed drink. There are no tables out there. There are no sits out there. So it's not, you can't assume anybody in the right mind who has ever gone to a bar would ever assume to get a mixed drink from a packaged good area. I did know it was an LBD7, so I asked to use the bar, and I was denied that.
Okay, do you have anything further?
No, I'll let it go with that. But let me just, in further, you mentioned that doorway is now gone. The door was there.
Yes.
And I think these are the pictures that he was talking about, since somebody asked about it. That's the coming in. And then clearly you can see the bathroom is on the other side of the, where the door was. Sorry, shows the bathroom on the other side where they would come in. The door was there, now it's all open.
Also, we wanted opinion because when I met Surgeon, when that robbery incident happened, he said you can very well refuse anybody if you don't feel comfortable. So now we are in the situation, if we do that, we get violated by you, and we don't know if he's a regular customer or he's even this gentleman. We are not against anybody, but we don't know the intention of anybody. If he doesn't feel comfortable and if he refused it, then he becomes violated. So we are in that kind of situation where we need your opinion, so it'll stay in the record. So what to do about that after we finish this?
Anything further?
Just in closing, I mean, it's obvious the bar was open. People were in there. They want to violate them for having people smoking in there, but they can't be violated if the place isn't open. They were back there. The bar was open the same time the packaged goods was open. So the smoking issue, nobody knows who. Certainly, it would be nice if we had somebody's name. Evidently, they had Mr. Kevin Watkins' name, but he was not the smoker, supposed to speak. There's no doubt that they let the people go in the back to go out the back door, which is not unusual. A lot of places, either out in front or back, they let them go out and take a smoke and come back in. So the place was open. They denied the smoking issue. They said they were smoking outside. And the employee records, I think he's right. You can't put Social Security numbers up on the wall. You don't give them in your reports when I ask for them anymore. And you don't get the whole date of birth anymore for that very reason. So it might have been a miscommunication, but obviously they have the full records there.
Okay. On the basis of the evidence presented here this afternoon, during the course of the hearing, as well as that contained in the record, the exhibits that have been received, proffers from counsel, and all the testimony, I find a violation of Rule 4.20 CII on April 26, 2017. I find a violation of Rule 4.16 on the same date, and a violation of Rule 3.03 small c. This is the third violation of 4.20, so I'd impose a fine of $1,500. As to the other violations, I'd impose fines of $500 each for a total of $2,500. I give them 30 days to pay.
So it's a total of 2,500. So I agree, and I just to be clear, when I hear the evidence, I mean, open and operating, that means at all times, and not just for the first 2 or 3 that come in, and not for the fourth. So if it's, I mean, if it's open and operating, anyone that comes is supposed to be able to get in. On that basis, I concur and not find the violations, and agree with the imposition of the fine.
Not that it frankly matters at this juncture, but I agree with my colleagues, although I do struggle with the open and operating given the circumstances and hearing other people actually there. But without any evidence to demonstrate that, you know, that the detective did not have access, so I concur with my colleagues on the finding of violations for each and the impositions of each of the fines.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask your opinion about the door thing?
You can ask his if you want. I'm not going to give you legal advice. I think you need to talk to your lawyer.
So you have the open door policy.
So I would encourage you to speak with Mr. Page or Mr. Fossler about that, and I know they're working with other
I just wanted
licensees.
to be on the same page. We are not here to break the rules. That's what I was.
I think you're sincere in that. I find you sincere.
It's a
I do.
difficult problem. It
It's
is.
a difficult
We
problem.
don't want to be at fault we don't want to come to the court for this.
And unfortunately,
We don't want you to come back either. So I would but just as the others have said, please consult with Mr. Page and the staff, and maybe this is a case where you sit down with the police department and talk about your particular establishment and what you can do. I think your issue is security. You don't feel safe.
Yes.
And if I can go on and on about my views about why people are operating businesses that they don't feel safe in, but it's clear to me you don't feel safe, and for whatever reasons. And that's something where you probably should talk with the police department about what you can do to feel safe. A lot of businesses hire security.
Exhibits, please.
Yes. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 2, inspection report, Inspector John Chrisomalis, dated April 27, 2017. Board Exhibit 3, compliance report, Inspector John Chrisomalis, dated May 9, 2017. Board Exhibit 4, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Kelsey Greenhill. Licensee Exhibit 1, 12, total photos of bar area. Thank you.
Navrup Sandhu, Devrinder Singh Sandhu, 4325 Bel Air Road, Inc. Previous Sheldon Lounge, 4325-27 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7 Beer 1 liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20 CII. Class BD7 licenses, open and operating tavern at all times on April the 26th, 2017. Please come forward. Thank you.
Mr. Kanansky, is this going to
Be a trial.
be a trial? Okay. Everybody raise your right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the licensees.
Good afternoon. Inspector?
Mr. Chrisomalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board, on or about April 26, 2017, at approximately 10:10 p.m., while on duty working with Detective Greenhill, Detective Goddard from the Baltimore City Vice Unit, we were conducting BD7 checks at various locations throughout the city. Detective Akawande was also working in an undercover capacity. We arrived at 4325 through 27 Bel Air Road in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland. Detective Akawande had entered the establishment and asked the person behind the counter.
Same objection from before, and the detective can testify to that.
Yeah, let's just skip over what he said, and we'll get that from him.
Later identified as one, Mr. Sin, the bar was open. Mr. Sin told, okay, we won't talk about that. Detective
Just tell us what you did.
Akawande notified us that Sheldon's Lounge had failed. We entered the establishment and notified Mr. Sin of the violation. We explained to the operator that if the packaged goods section of the establishment was open, then the lounge must also be open. After explaining to Mr. Sin the process, we left the location without any further incident.
Questions for the
Yeah, just
inspector?
briefly, the person that works, the area, they can work the full area from behind the package goods all the way to the lounge, is that correct?
They could.
I mean, they walk from one place, there's no separation behind the bar that you know of?
Correct.
And the place is set up as a full package, a full bar, is that correct?
It's set up.
You didn't, nobody ordered a drink in there?
He was denied entry.
No. When you guys went in, did you order a drink?
Did I order a drink when I went in?
Anybody, any of your group?
No, none of us ordered drinks
And there any reason why you didn't do that?
because we were working.
Okay. I mean, didn't ask you to drink it, but I mean, you could have ordered one, correct?
Well, we're not there in an undercover capacity, so we're
Okay.
very well identified.
I'm going to show you some pictures and tell me if this accurately depicts what the bar area looks like. Please.
It's the setup is similar. I can't testify that the fresh made ice and the fully stocked
It's
coolers.
ice bin, though.
Correct, but I can't,
Yeah.
it wasn't set up like this the night we were there with all the liquor and the
You
coolers.
looked in the box.
We look at the boxes all the time. That's one way we establish if we feel that they're operating as a BD7.
Oops.
You're offering these?
All right. And they have a full kitchen there? Did you go in the back?
I did not go to the kitchen.
Okay. And they have bathrooms. I don't bore everybody with a picture of a nice bathroom, but it is
Correct.
nice. Okay. On it. And at any time, do you know the person who you were talking to, you mentioned his name, Mr. Singh?
Correct.
Yeah. Did you ever bring Detective Ekawande back in to talk?
We never bring the undercover detective or inspector back in to talk to
So
the
let me
people.
ask you, if I was me and I wanted to challenge who the person was, you're telling me I can't do that?
I'm not telling you what you can and you can't do. I'm
So
just
if
telling you we
I
don't bring
insisted
them
you
back.
bring him in because I say I got, like we're on TV right now, I'll say, roll the tape.
Mhm.
You would say, no, I'm not going to bring him in,
That's correct.
okay? And I'm assuming that Detective Akawande doesn't walk around like that all the time.
I don't know. I hope not.
Okay.
Anything further of the inspector?
No.
Okay, Detective, you want to tell us what happened?
Yes. On that night, I walked into the establishment and asked for a peach Amsterdam from a young Indian male with a burgundy turban on his head. When I was about to pay for the item, I asked if the bar was open. The clerk, which is the same gentleman, said no. He went on to explain that he had no bartenders. I paid for my goods and left. However, I would say this, that while I was in the establishment, I noticed what appeared to be a drug transaction within two black males. One of the unknown males started chanting blue tops to me, advertising that he had what he had for sale, which I assumed was illegal narcotics.
Well, that charge is not before us, so.
That is fine. That is true. I'm just establishing that I was there on that night, and they had people in there that could, testify that I was there if they can bring them forward.
Okay, any questions for the
You
detective?
said they have people there who could testify you were in there? Who might those people be?
The gentleman with the turban, burgundy turban, that was working that night that denied me.
But I'm saying, if he was here, would you show your face to him?
Absolutely not.
All right, and as far as that you didn't order anything, a drink out in front, in the package goods area?
Sorry, was that a question?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Did you order a drink out in front?
No, I didn't order a drink out front.
Okay. Is there an area out in front that has like a little ledge and stools where you could order one?
Not that I know of.
Okay, well, it could have been, you just didn't see it.
The assumption was that the bar area was not up front where I ordered my Amsterdam. So I did buy a packaged good, but I didn't order a drink because I don't typically do that.
If I asked you to define, the license covers the whole floor, the whole area, even including the restrooms, the mop sinks, and everything else. So you're saying that the bar area, in your opinion, is only the back bar?
I did not say that.
You've been in places where the whole bar, all sections aren't open because they didn't have enough people to go into, haven't you?
I don't understand your question,
You've never
sir.
been in a place where you said, when they said, no, back there, we're not open yet, or back there, this section here is only open?
I could tell you that this is not what happened that night, so I can testify to
No,
that.
I asked you, have you ever? Never mind, I withdraw.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
You state your name and address for the record, please.
Tejinder Zandu.
And you were the manager there, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were there?
Not on that
But
time.
you generally work there, is that correct?
Yes, 7 days.
And is the bar open the same time that the packaged goods is open?
Yes.
All right. And are there times when there's not enough customers and you serve people out in the front part, in the packaged goods area?
If we don't feel safe, then.
Mhm. And you have a place out there where people can order a drink and they can sit, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, let's give pictures. So if you feel that they're not safe, you don't let people in the back, but you'll serve them out in the front, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any other evidence? Commissioners, anything? Okay, on the basis of the testimony, the evidence presented, and the materials contained here, as well as the exhibits, I find a violation of Rule 4.20C(ii) on April 26, 2017.
I've got some mitigation.
Oh, I thought you were finished.
No, well, because there was no finding yet, so
Go ahead.
I didn't want to give a mitigation before I had to, because
Okay.
maybe you would have found it
Yeah,
in
I'll
favor.
hear your mitigation.
Possibly.
And before you go into your mitigation, let me know for the record, they have no history of violations.
Yeah, and it's not been a trouble place. In fact, I got 2 letters here from Mr. Douglas Page saying that they refuse to serve minors.
We find them highly credible.
And then, actually, it has your name on the letterhead, too. And also here's a letter from Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene about people, kids not serving minors. So, I mean, it's not a kind of place that has been a troublesome spot the first time they're here.
Understood. Okay.
If I may add,
Yes.
Detective L.C. Greenhill, ID Vice. In addition to our BD7 investigations, I perform nightly checks of all liquor stores throughout the city. I've done numerous checks of this place. I've talked to citizens in the area, and the citizens have told me that they never allow patrons in the back. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I mean, you have pictures that show stools that sits outside in the packaged good area. I've made checks of this bar numerous
Well, we don't know
times.
when those pictures were
Okay,
taken.
well,
There was no
but
testimony to that.
Each time, I've never seen chairs sitting out front in the packaged goods area.
Okay. Well, for whatever that's worth, because there's been no other violation ever for this, so it's the first time for us. I would impose a $200 fine and give them 30 days.
So I would, I do find the violation, and I appreciate the the good record, and having just recently passed the underage drinking test, and I think you passed that twice in 2014 and again in 2017. Do you understand the law that the bar area has to be open when the packaged goods? Now, have you ever had to close the bar area?
No.
No. Have you ever opened the bar area?
The bars or area is open. I'm like, we have a full kitchen over there too.
And you have a full kitchen,
Yes.
okay. So I concur with the finding of responsibility for the violation. I would impose a $500 fine for this violation.
I too find a violation and will split the difference and assess $350.
No, we don't.
Oh,
I'll
it goes up-
join
it
you,
goes up
that's
to
fine.
500, right?
I'll join you, so it'll be 350. Okay.
I'll make it simple and go with $350.
Split the baby.
Yes.
Plus the $125. But to me, and people have heard me say this before, this is such an important violation because you get that business advantage. And the thing that goes along with it is that the bar area has to be open at all times. And if for any reason you feel like you need to close the bar, you need to close the packaged goods at the same time. And I find this just so offensive that people are being denied based on how they look. And I think that's what happens. I think that's what happens, and I think that's what happened here.
All right, let's move along, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Inspector John Chrisomalis Investigation Report. Board Exhibit 2, Compliance Inspection Report. Dated May 30th, 2017, Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 3, Inspection Report dated April 26, 2017, Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 4, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Elsie Greenhill. License Exhibit 1, 12 total photos of establishment bar area. License Exhibit 2, photos of packaged goods area. License Exhibit 3, Baltimore City Liquor Board letters dated May 6, 2014 and January 31st, 2017. License Exhibit 4, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene letter dated April 11, 2017. Thank you.
John Lee and John Lee, Hyun's Liquors, Inc., trading as Penn Liquor, 1041 Fremont Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.20 CII. Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on April the 27th, 2017. Please come forward.
Would everyone raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, sir.
So you're charged with a violation of 4.20 CII on April 27 of this year. Do you want to admit or deny that?
Contest.
You contest it, okay. Who's going to testify?
May I see a report, I was unaware that case was ours.
What happened to Detective Akamwande?
He's sitting down.
How you doing, Agent Chris Amalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On or about April 27th at approximately 12:40 a.m., I, Agent Chris Amalis, while working with the Baltimore City Vice Unit in a joint operation conducting checks on BD7 establishments through the city, came to the location at 1041 Greenmont Avenue in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, known as Penn Liquors. Once at the location, Detective Akawande entered the establishment in an undercover capacity, purchased a bottle of alcohol, and asked to sit down in the lounge. The cashier, later identified as one Jong Ho Lee, told the undercover detective that the lounge closed at 9 p.m. Detective Akawande exited the location, notified the other members of the operation that the establishment had failed the BD7 check. At that time, I, along with Detective Greenhill and Gatto, entered the establishment and made contact with the operator, Mr. Jong Ho Lee. We explained to Mr. Lee that the packaged goods section cannot be opened in the tavern if closed. Mr. Young told us that he denied entry because he was closed for the night. However, while we were there, Mr. Lee continued to make sales from the packaged goods section, which made it clear that he was not closed. We explained the violation and we left the location without any further incident.
Do you have questions for the inspector?
Yes. And you said the lounge closed at 9, but I have never said close at 9.
Sir, you're going to have to ask the detective that. I wasn't the one that came in.
And then also the undercover detective, he have never asked to come in the bar. He just asked to open the bar
Again, you can ask the detective that, because we come in after the fact, so
Yes,
those
okay.
questions would have to be
Yes.
directed to him.
Okay, can we get Detective Akawande?
Can I explain the situation first?
No, you'll get your chance.
Okay.
Detective? So what happened?
I'm sorry, I'm just getting my notes together.
That's fine.
Okay, here we go. I walked to Penn Liquor at around approximately 12:40 hours at night in the morning. I noticed an Asian male sweeping outside. He was wearing a light colored hoodie and green cargo pants. When I walked in, he followed me in and went behind the counter. I asked him for a Ciroc Summer Colada, a shorty of that, and the Asian male rang me up. I then asked him if the bar was open. He told me it closed at 9 p.m., and he was not open right at that moment. So he gave me the impression that the bar was closed at that time, at around 1 o'clock when I walked in.
Do you have questions for the detective?
Yes, how come you say the 9 p.m.? I haven't ever said the 9 p.m. 9 p.m. close. I haven't ever said that we close at 9 p.m.
That's not a question.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a question for him?
Yeah, I mean, how did you figure out the 9 p.m.?
I didn't come up with that number.
And then, did you ask me to come in the bar? I remember you asked me to open the bar, so I answered yes. And then, after you purchased the liquor, and then you just left. And then, after you purchase, after you pay, I told you, and then.
Is this a question? You're supposed to be asking him questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, did you ask me to come in the bar?
No, I didn't. I just told you the conversation. Or I just testified to the conversation that we had, which was basically the statement of facts in regards to you or the establishment denying me access to the bar area. It was closed, and additional information was given that it was closed at 9 p.m. I didn't come up with this number. This is what the conversation that I had at the day.
And how do you judge that we close the bar even if you didn't ask the coming in?
I judged that by asking whoever the
They close
employee is.
bar. I mean, everybody, and even my guy, they say they open the bar. We open the bar too. Nobody said we close.
This is not a question. You know, we're in a proceeding. You have to follow the rules. Do you have
sir.
any more questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have evidence you want to present?
Yes.
Now you may testify.
Yeah. Okay. At the time, there was actually my store is closed at 1 o'clock. I've been running this business for almost 20 years from my father's too, and before we close at 1, we always make a cleanup, and before we close, we just clean up the store and then clear out the cash register, and then he coming, one of the devices coming, ask the miniature Ciroc, and then he purchased it. When he pay, he asked me, "Are you open the bar?" So I said, "Yes, we open the bar, but it's almost the time to close." And then he just left. He didn't ask to come in the bar. And then he already knew, like he said, the one guy, he was just mopping on the floor because it's time to close. The mopping is the last step before we close. And after he left, some vices coming. I didn't operate a bar and then I sell the packaged good. I already knew that I cannot run the packaged good without running the bar. I already knew that.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I just want to get clarity. Were you working by yourself
No,
that
I
night?
had with my employee.
You had an employee there working with you?
Yes.
And was that employee there at the time this incident occurred?
Yeah, and then he also heard it, and then he was mopping the behind him.
Okay.
He was mopping the behind him.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Did the detective ask you first for the little Ciroc bottle, or did he ask for entry into the,
He asked Ciroc about it first. And then when he paid the bill, he asked me, are you open the bar? When he paid the bill. After he ordered, when he paid his merchandise, he asked me, are you open the bar? So I answered, yes, we open the bar. And then he bought the mint syrup, and then he left. And then before he left, it's almost time to close, as you see with the mopping the floor. Then if you ask him to come in, I just let him to know we have like a 10 minute, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, you can sip the drink. I can let him to in. But he didn't even ask him to come in the bar, and then he left, and then he just reported we didn't operate a bar.
you said your employee heard all of this?
Yes.
Is your employee here?
No, not in here.
Is there anything else you want to present?
And then I don't know how they figured out we reported the lounge closed at 9 p.m. It's a totally.
Well, his testimony is that you said that.
No, I didn't say that.
But you disagree, that's all.
Okay, yeah.
I had a question. Where exactly are you located? What's the cross street?
We're located Chase Street and Chase and Eagle between the Greenmount, just right across the central booking.
Right across from Central Booking.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're near the Obama grocery store.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
next to it, yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, I know where you are. All right, thank you.
Did you have something to add?
Sure. Again, Kelly Cross, president of the Old Goucher Community Association. Had a chance to speak with Regina Boyce on the way down. She unfortunately was unable to make it today. She's the president of the Rebuild Johnston Square Community Association. She was very adamant that Mr. Lee has been a great neighbor in the area. He's one of the few businesses that has really been participating in some of the initiatives that they've been pushing forward. Again, I'm here today because Mr. Lee's store is also one of the 3 stores along the entirety of the Greenmount Avenue corridor that we are working with. It's beside a site, the old Maryland State Penitentiary, that we're looking to redevelop and do some great things for all the neighborhoods there. I know Mr. Lee has had, I believe, only 1 violation in the past, and that was a violation for.
Actually, he's had 2 violations for the same thing, open and operating.
Okay, so the other one was, I guess, a little earlier. The only one I was aware of was 2 years ago.
2014, 3 years ago.
Okay, 3 years ago. I know we've talked about this. He very much understands that you've got to have these stores open, the business open, and to the extent that we can make sure this doesn't happen again, our group in the neighborhood, we certainly will be working with him on that.
Okay. Anything further from anyone?
I just want to add, just in terms of, maybe this would be mitigation, but can you just talk a little bit about, I mean, you're very close, not just to the prison, but to the St. Francis Academy and the convent where the Oblate Sisters of Providence live. And there's also the Joubert House. So there's a lot of young people. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you relate to the community in which you sit? There's a lot of children, a lot of young people, a lot of older people. It's a busy, congested area. Just talk to me just for a little bit about how you operate and how you make sure that you're not serving minors and people that should not be drinking.
Okay, the first thing, so we open at 8 o'clock. And we used to open this pretty much a long time ago. We opened at 6, and then even my father or some customer that come too early, they're drinking, they sit in the bar, and they say just waiting for bus, but sometimes they miss the bus because they're already drunk, so they miss the work. So my father decided to, 6 o'clock is too early for customer. So we're 2 hours late after kids go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the time, we got a 3 hour, 6 to 2 a.m. Then the one about neighbor customer, he told me a job interview the next day early in the morning, but he got a little drunk, he missed the job interview too. So my father decided, okay, let's cut the front and back. So we close at 1. But only the Friday, Saturday open at 2. I mean, close at 2. Then also I support with the community, and actually I try to make a block the young kid. Totally young kid. That's why I had so many times the tires make a flat, windows broke. There's so many times the windows broke. So many arguments. Even the young kids, they come in, ask the other adult people, ask them buy in front of me. are refusing. There's a lot of young kids that are mad us and totally mess the store. Sometimes they mess my car too. That's why I didn't have any violation for the minor.
So, okay. And am I hearing correctly that you and your father, you changed the hours of operation? You could open at 6 a.m., but now you only open at 8 a.m.?
Yes.
And that you did that because you're aware that the children
Yes.
and students were coming through, and
Yes.
I know the sisters don't want the students going in there. So you,
They can, actually,
I do
keep
know
the,
that.
So I also keep the coffee hours too in the nighttime. So
Okay.
any teenager that cannot come into my store without the guardian or parents.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, on the basis of the testimony presented today, the evidence that is before us and the reports, I would find a violation of Rule 4.20C II on April 27, 2017. You know, Mr. Lee, you got support. You apparently have been a responsible person in the area. The problem I have is that this is the third time in 3 years that you've had the violation for the same thing, open and operating. And while I'd like to give you a lot of consideration, we can't continue to have that. This was very close to closing, I agree with you, but I have to credit the detective's testimony that as to what you said. I would impose a fine of $350 and give you 30 days.
I will agree. I concur.
I concur as well with the imposition of the fine and the finding of the violation.
Okay, good luck. Thank you.
Mr. Lincoln, excuse me 1 second. I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report. Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Liquor Board routine report dated May 26, 2017. Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 3, inspection report. Inspector John Chrisomalis. Board Exhibit 4, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Thank you.
Alexandra Abreu and Maria Hernandez, El Stanco LLC, trading as El Stanco, 45 North Crescent Street. This is a Class D, Tier 1 and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.05A as an apple, prohibited hours on April the 29th, 2017. Violation of Rule 4.05B, prohibited hours on April 29th, 2017. And violation of Rule 3.03C, records, on April the 29th, 2017. Please come forward.
Please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ms. Hernandez, Mr. Abreu, do you want to admit these violations or deny them?
No, she don't. Me no work.
I'm sorry.
Me no stay there. It's not.
I'm not sure I'm understanding. Can you help me, Inspector?
Yo no estaba ahí ese día.
I think she
Is
said
she
she doesn't
denying?
understand.
Si la va a admitir o la va a negar.
No, no estaba yo ahí.
¿Se va a mentir o va a negar? Dice que va. ¿La va a admitir o la va a denegar?
¿Cómo?
You're saying she wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
Well, who was there?
¿Quién estaba?
Él estaba ahí.
Oh, and is he admitting or denying?
¿La va a admitir o lo va a negar?
Yo
¿Va a
estaba ahí.
admitir las acusaciones o la va a negar?
It's true.
I have a question. There's Alexandra. What's your name?
Jeremiah Dimas.
Can you spell that for me, please?
Jeremiah like country, Dimas.
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Diaz, you were present on April 29?
Manager.
I can't.
He's the manager.
Oh, you're the manager, okay. All right, and did the inspectors come in and discover that the, let's see, that at 1:10 a.m. and notice that someone left with a cap bottle of Bud sticking out of his pocket, and that others could not be confirmed? Well, so this is after your 1 o'clock closing time. Did they come in at that time?
when I close the bar like around 12:40, and I come in like 1:12, from 10 to 1, and I tell everybody have to go up to the bar, and I never see somebody got the bottles. And
All right, well, let me hear from them, okay? Who was going to testify for the inspectors? Chief?
Okay. Well, first I'll let Andy testify to the initial part.
Okay.
Because he was there.
At approximately 12:50 a.m.
Can I stop you for a second? Do you understand English?
A little bit.
Okay, if you don't understand him, let me know, okay?
At approximately 12:50 a.m., I reported to the location on Aristanco. I'm located at 45 North Crescent Street. I was at a cover location, just observing the bar. I observed a male with a white shirt enter the bar, and that person didn't come out by the closing time of 1 o'clock. I reported my observation to Chief Forsley, who later responded to the location with the rest of the team.
So what time were you there, Inspector?
About 12:50.
Okay, and you saw this person leave after 1 o'clock?
No, he went in the bar and never came out.
Okay.
It's me. I go in the bar.
Okay, well, in a minute. Okay, and Chief?
We were, because there had been a couple violent shootings up a couple blocks away, that's where we were stationed. I had sent Inspector Perez down to this location because we had had some repeated incidents of operating after hours. So after we received his call at 1 o'clock, we went down to the location. Myself, Agent Christomalis, also Sergeant Lesher, Detective Gatto, and Detective Greenhill also responded. By the time we arrived, the person that he saw hadn't left the location. At approximately 1:10 a.m., we observed a patron exit the establishment through a side door with the cap bottle of Bud Light sticking out of his pocket. This Class D license requires that they cease operations at 1 a.m. We entered the establishment. There were approximately 7 individuals inside the establishment. We asked who was the manager, who was working, and Mr. Demas responded himself and 1 female. We asked him to produce employee records. He wasn't able to do so. Agent Christomalis noted a notebook next to the cash register. The notebook contained names and payout amounts. When he called out, "Hey, Rosa," that was one of the names in the book, a Hispanic female answered. And Agent Christomalis asked, "Do you work here?" To which Rosa responded, "No." Inspector Perez asked her in Spanish, "Do you work here?" She again said no. Agent Christomalis asked Rosa, "If you don't work here, why are you being paid $100? So Mr. Demas then said, "I didn't know that she worked here because she's new." There were 3 other female names in the notebook with payout amounts, but no employee records. Essentially, we're talking about the same situation as you heard earlier today about, females working to.
Sitters.
Well, that's what Mel calls them, but that's beside the point. But the point is that we charge them with operating after hours. We charge them with not having employee records for the people that were in the establishment.
Do you have questions for the inspector?
No.
Okay. What do you want to tell us, sir?
That day happened when he asked me for employee record. I don't have it with me, and I show him the lady work in the bar inside certificate, and we write Elizabeth Claudia. She's there that day, and Gloria Guzman too. And we make this record for my.
Okay, were these shown to you at that time?
No, sir, but this, as we've had in the past, the the licensee, this is the gentleman who appears to be the operator of the establishment. We don't have a management agreement. This lady is never there. I don't know, and this has been going on for some period of time. Every time we go to this establishment, we never run it, the licensee's never there. And I don't know, there's not a transfer in for this license. We're not sure who's the real operator or owner of this license.
Ms. Hernandez? You're the owner.
Yes.
You own you own this El Stanco.
Yes, sometimes go, sometimes work, sometimes no work.
Who's Mr. Abreu? Who's Miss Abreu?
La socia.
Same, yeah.
Partner.
I have partner.
My
She
partner.
my partner.
If I could.
Who's on the license, Mr. Page?
Alexandra, yes, the lady. Alexandra Abreu.
Alexandra and Maria
Okay.
Hernandez.
Okay, so they're ultimately responsible for what goes on there.
Yes.
Okay. But they're not present.
Ms. Hernandez.
Aren't you Ms. Hernandez? So you are Maria Hernandez. So you are the one that's on the license, see? But Ms. Abreu is not here.
No, she not.
And how often are you at El Stanco? Hardly ever?
¿Qué tan frecuente está en el negocio?
Una vez por semana, some 1 day per week.
1 day per week? And how often is Ms. Abreu there?
Same thing.
No, I need you to be quiet.
¿Qué dice? No lo
And
entendí.
don't let, I want to hear her, okay?
A veces va, a veces no va.
Sometimes she comes, sometimes she don't.
All right. Is there an agreement between you and him to operate the bar for you?
Ustedes tienen un acuerdo para que él manille la barra por ustedes.
Sí, porque él es más responsable.
Yes, because he's responsible.
Okay, and is that written down on paper?
¿Lo tienen escrito en papeles?
Yo tengo escrito en papeles de lo que sí. Porque te lo que maneja al lugar.
It's not in writing, no. Are you planning to sell the business to him?
¿Le está planeando vender el negocio?
Supposedly.
Yeah, but it's low. I don't have a business. I need to sell.
Okay, so is he in the process of purchasing the business from you?
Está en el proceso de comprar el negocio a usted.
Comprarlo o venderlo. O sea,
How much does he pay you every month to operate the bar?
¿cuánto le pagan? Los taxes.
We pay the taxes, and we family. She's me, Miss Abreu, and her, and me. We family.
So it's a family business, you think?
Families, yeah, that's right.
All right.
Sometimes I help her because she working at night.
What do you do for your business?
El trabajo suyo.
I work at another bar.
You work at another bar. Which other bar do you work at?
Cousin play with the 3927 East Lombard.
I did not understand.
My cousin's
Oh, it's called My Cousin's Place. Is it called My Cousin's Place? Okay, I think yeah. So how often are you at My Cousin's Place?
I working for 7 months. Yeah.
So you've been there 7 months. Are you in the process of buying that place? Are you?
No.
No, no. Okay. And Ms. Abreu, where does she work?
She working for different companies. She work in the bar. She sometimes work in the Estanco. The
Okay.
weekend.
Okay. So the women that are they're called sitters? Is that accurate?
¿Quién?
No sé.
Las muchachas que trabajan para ustedes.
No.
I can't explain that. the meaning of
You
that
can't
word.
explain it.
Yeah.
Companion- Drinking partners.
La muchacha que usted tiene trabajando en el negocio, ¿cómo ustedes le llamarían? ¿Acompañantes?
Bueno, no tenemos trabajadora, bartender le decimos porque
Bartender.
Con
How-
el bartender.
How do they get paid?
¿Cómo le pagan?
Cash.
No, como
Cash.
el negocio de ella, cómo funciona todo.
No, se le paga por la noche,
It'd be a lot easier if just one of them was answering.
por la propina y el pago que se le paga de la noche.
It's a nightly payment plus tips.
So they get a payment plus tips, but always in cash.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're off the books. Yeah, off the books, yes, yes.
Pero bajo la mesa.
Okay.
No, on the book, no, we put in the right book. When the tips, we put in the cashier, then we give it to them. We write it down in the book.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Ms. Hernandez, you had said in response, I think I heard you say that Mr. Demas is responsible. Was I correct when you said that?
Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
he's
You-
responsible.
But you understand that, I hope that you and Mrs. Abreu are responsible. I'm sorry.
Dígale que vamos para la licencia, pero confiamos en él, por él administra el negocio.
We're responsible for the license, but we got confidence in him running the place.
Okay. I don't know that you really understand how serious this is from my standpoint. You and Ms. Abreu are responsible. And these are some charges that, and there's a history of these similar charges. I think this is pretty serious. And there's a,
I need to try maybe working every day. Now, close. For 2 weeks, right?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
The
I
place
know,
is
but
closed.
Yeah, because I have a lot of job somewhere. I know I need a person, for working responsibly. Now it's closed. Business go down.
Wait. So now El Stanco is closed, and it's been closed for 2 to 3 weeks,
No, we
correct?
closed the bar like 3 weeks because we got some job and construction job. That's why we not open the bar. We had nobody for run the bar right now.
Wait, so El Stanco has been closed for 3 weeks because you have a job somewhere else and you're working construction. And what is the plan to reopen?
Because we have somebody wants to buy the bar, and probably we make that transfer probably, I don't know, maybe in 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
But that's why we not open.
Is it currently advertised for sale? Is that?
Is it, are you trying to sell the license?
Suppose, I know, I looking for another person.
Supposedly.
I have a problem for building too, a lot of rent.
No,
Okay, so, I mean, you're closed and you don't plan to reopen?
No, because
So we have to fill that
we
in.
have some guys want buy the bar. That's why we close the place for,
Oh, okay. So what I think, I mean, I don't know. It sounds to me like you all need to come in and work with a translator and get very clear on the process for transferring this license. Because you can't just hand it over. It's not, you've got to have the liquor board must be involved. Okay, you understand that? Because I think what you did, I think you sold it to him. And you couldn't carry it out, so now you're going to sell it to somebody else. But the liquor board has not been involved, and that's why there's frustration. They come to check. They're looking for you, Ms. Hernandez. You're never there because you're at my cousin's place running things there, and they're going along fine. You're there. You're not on the license, but you've got some agreement to give her money every month. But now you can't. So it's
Nephew,
he's your nephew? Is that what you're saying? He's your nephew? But that doesn't change the formal relationship that has to exist with the liquor board. Do you
we understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Hernandez, you have to, it's nice, you're being very kind to your nephew, and it sounds like you're working hard with your cousin at my cousin's. Is it your cousin, by the way? Is it your cousin? It is? Okay, that's fine. But I would just also caution you that if you're closed for too long, the license goes away.
I know, yeah, it's closed because we have somebody buy the place, and we can continue for past my name because the contract in the building, the license on the building, we can change the license in another place. We don't love this area because too many people sell drugs.
Let me just, Inspector Perez, if they could just understand this. What I think I heard them saying is that there's some problems with the property maybe, and some issues there, and that's complicating perhaps the transfer of the license. I'm not sure. I just was trying to make the point, I was just trying to make the point that if this remains closed for a certain period of time, the license dies.
Okay.
And I just want them to understand that.
El negocio está cerrado por mucho tiempo, la licencia se
Assuming we
muere,
don't
que no se pierde.
No, pero ahorita este fin de semana ya.
We're planning to open this weekend.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute.
It's late plans.
Anything further?
No solamente eso, esperemos que no vuelva a pasar.
Hope it doesn't happen again.
Yes, I'm sorry for that. Probably we
Maybe he's not ready for.
not taking more problem. We close the bar anytime. We have to take care of the people when got off because that guy take the bottles, he pockets. So we have to control everything when we open the bar again.
Okay, on the basis of the testimony presented this afternoon, the record before the commission, I find a violation of Rule 4.05A and B on April 29, 2017, as well as a violation of Rule 303.C. I'd impose on the violation of 405A a fine of $1,000, as to B, $500, and as to 303, $500, for a total of $2,000. I give you 30 days to pay.
So I agree with the imposition of the money fine. I actually think this bar needs to close until such time as you come into compliance with all of the laws in terms of ownership, and there's clarity that this board has as to who is the owner and who is operating and how it's being done, and that all of the laws are complied with. Right now, I may be wrong, but it sounds like there's problems with the building. There might be renovations going on. There's issues as to the ownership. They can never find the licensee when the liquor board comes in to inspect. That was the situation on April 29. I heard you say that you're closed now. You've been closed for 3 weeks. You really didn't think you had an intention to reopen because of other business opportunities that are going on. I feel like there's such a jumble of facts that, in addition to the $2,000 fine, I would impose at least a 14-day closing until such time you come in and get straight on what is going on here, because there's just too much going on that is not clear to any of us. And that is giving rise to these problems, because there's nobody watching this, minding the store. You're not there. You don't know what all should be happening. There's confusion. It's causing a problem. I think you need to close until you get straight.
I concur too with the finding of the violations, the imposition of the fine, as well as the suspension, the 2-week suspension.
Okay. Explain that to them.
You understood?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector John Chrisomales. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gato. Thank you.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. No.
You're welcome.
It's closed now.
I believe that's our docket, Mr. Page.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the board is in recess until Thursday, July the 20th, 11 a.m.